everyone, welcome to this course on Python Fundamentals by Simplilearn. Ever wondered why learning Python is a game changer in the tech world? From building simple programs to unlocking powerful machine learning models, Python is the key. If you're serious about coding, mastering Python basics is absolutely essential. In this video, we have got you covered step by step. Whether you're a beginner or just need a refresher, this video will give you the strong foundation you need to excel. Here's what we'll be covering in today's session. First, we are going to dive into Python programming basics. Now, this includes the building blocks of Python, which is variables, how to use the print function, and how to handle string manipulation. Then, we'll also explore data types, data ranges, scientific notation, and the math module, all the tools you will need to work with numbers and text in Python. After that, we will explore Python operators, where you will get a full breakdown of arithmetic comparison, logical, and membership operators. We'll also talk about the operator precedence with the famous PEMDAS rule, the backbone of how Python evaluates operations. And trust me, mastering this will make your code run smoother than ever. Then, we'll move on to control structures and loops, where we will break down how the if-else conditions work and how to make your code repeat actions using loops. Now, this is a game changer for automating your logic and task. Plus, we will touch on data handling and formatting and how typecasting can help you convert data from one type to another effortlessly. And lastly, we will talk about the OOPS concept, which is one of the most exciting parts of Python. We will cover variable scope, access, inheritance, and its type, as well as polymorphism and method overriding. Now, this will help you write more organized, reusable, and scalable code. Now, before we dive into, here's a quick information for you. If you're interested in mastering the future of technology, then the professional certificate course in generative AI and machine learning is the perfect opportunity for you. This is offered in collaboration with the ENICET Academy, IIT Kanpur, and it's an 11-month live interactive program providing you hands-on expertise in cutting-edge areas like generative AI, machine learning, and tools like ChatGPT, DALL-E 2, and Hugging Face. You'll also gain practical experience through 15 plus projects, integrated labs, and live masterclasses delivered by esteemed IIT Kanpur faculty. Alongside, you will earn a prestigious certificate from IIT Kanpur, where you will receive official Microsoft badges for Azure AI courses and career support through Simplilearn's Job Assist program. So what are you waiting for? Hurry up and enroll now. You can find the course link below. Now, before we get started, here's a quick quiz question for you. The question is, which of the following is not a valid Python data type? Your options are int, float, char, or string. Let me know your answers in the comment section below.
So the very first notebook talks very basic things about what are variables, how to use them, how to print, how to get an input, okay, and then very basic programming. So I plan to go ahead finishing with the notebook number 1 and the notebook number 2 with all of you. Don't worry, I would be sharing both the notebooks with all of you, so don't worry on that. In fact, I will share my entire drive link with you. Forget 1 or 2 notebooks. I'll share the entire drive link with you. You will have access to all the 6 notebooks, which I plan to do in 3 sessions. So sessions are also very few. No, we just have 3 sessions, 1, 2, and 3. Today 1, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow. So I'm saving on time. Instead of calling everyone on audio and getting introduced, hence we got this Google form filled up, right? So we're trying to actually save time there so that I can devote more time in the teaching learning process, you see, right? So this is another notebook which talks about a few more things and exposes us to a few more types of functions and built-in variables, you see, and it has few more programs here. Okay, now friends, I'll tell you one thing very honestly, it is immaterial whether you program in .NET or in Java. Python programming compared to other languages, trust me, is easier. You see, it is easier. The learning curve of Python is shorter compared to .NET, compared to Java, compared to React. So if any one of you is working in web development or in Java development, you will have a bigger and longer learning curve. Learning curve is much shorter, where you very quickly, you yourself will feel that, you will feel that you are with Rocky or with any other good trainer. It just took about 3 to 4 hours and you came in sync. You see, so that is what you're going to experience. So that's not because of, that we are training you good. The idea is that the language is easy. We know that Python is a high level language, and all programming languages which are high level, it becomes easy for us to code because we code English like, be it Java, be it JavaScript, be it Python. We write English statements. We use English words. So it's a high level language. Of course, the language was created way back in 1980s, but it has become popular in the last 10-15 years a lot, because Python is being heavily used for a lot of machine learning, deep learning, NLP, CV work. So therefore it's become more popular. There are a lot of IDEs, which that means integrated development environments, which we can use for running our Python code. So we can use PyCharm to run our Python code, but I don't advise this, because as you progress ahead, you're not going to do too much of Python coding. You are going to use a lot of Python libraries. So it becomes a little difficult to keep on installing libraries one by one. And tomorrow, if you change your PC, you're working in office, you're working at home, you may be working at maybe at some college or whatever. So then when you change your PC, again, the reinstallation of libraries is required. So you can save your time by using some kind of collab environment like this, where you install it so that it becomes easy, and because you haven't to keep code on one PC. See, in PyCharm or in Visual Studio Code, the code is in my PC. Yes, if you're carrying a dedicated laptop, cool. Then PyCharm and VS Code Editor are very good. No doubt about it. Okay, and if you're doing some confidential work for your company, you're making your own project for your own startup, or maybe for your own proof of concept, then yes, working in PyCharm and VS Code Editor is a good idea, because you don't want to share your code. You have no intentions to share your code with anybody else. Then I think this is a good idea. This is a good one. Okay. Now, for the sake of simplicity, for all learners at Simplilearn, not restricting to IIT Madras or IIT Bombay or IIT Kanpur batches. No. I'm looking at in generic sense. Across students at Simplilearn globally, we all use Google Colab so that all of us are at the same page to use it. And this is the easiest tool to use, even for a fresher to actually start who's not been coding at all. This is the easiest tool to take a grip on. Okay. Now, friends, like every programming language, Python programming language also has something called as language constructs. What are they? Literals and variables. Let us say this way. Suppose if I'm asking my friends Harshit and Suresh their names. So how would I say, I would say, okay, myself, Rocky Jagtiani, what's your good name? So when I'm asking you this question, in my mind, there is a variable called name, and my friend Suresh says, Rocky, my name is Suresh. So I'm going to hold his name into his variable, but his name called Suresh is a literal. His enrollment ID at Simplilearn is literal. His age is literal. His years of work experience is literal. So what is a variable? Variable is something which is going to hold. So I can think it this way. If I draw a box in front of you, this box is my variable. Whatever value you write inside the box is my literal. So this becomes the literal, and this placeholder becomes the variable which is holding something for us. Okay, this could hold their age, years of experience, the company for which you work, XYZ. Great. Let's move on next. Data types. Very basic question I'd like to ask all of you friends. Is our age and our name data of the same type? Is our name and our age data of the same type? They are not. Good. Therefore, data types indicate what is the type of data. We all know that if I'm fetching somebody's age and somebody says that Rocky, my age is 25, somebody says my age is 50, Cool. So I don't hear anybody saying that my age is 25.37. I've not heard of anybody saying that. Or somebody coming in saying me that, okay, Rocky, my age is 50.13. I'm sorry, I've never heard this. And therefore, when anybody is giving me an age, they don't give me decimal points. They only give me whole numbers. You see, they only give me whole numbers like 25 and 50. And because they only give me whole numbers, 25 and 50, therefore, my data type is int. But tomorrow, if I'm trying to ask that when we get paid our salaries and our offices got our taxes, so a tax may not be exactly a whole number. A tax can be 10,050 paisa. Am I right or wrong, my friends? Am I right or wrong? Right? So direction of tax can be a floating point number. Calculation of tax can be a floating point number. Your Uber ride from the place I stay in Bombay to the Bombay International Airport could be costing, let's say, 250 rupees and 50 paisa. It's possible. So your Uber rides can have floating point numbers. In fact, they mostly have. Your tax can have floating point numbers. So when you have floating point numbers like this, that means you decimal precision. We say our data is either float and the data is in a smaller range, and if the data is of a larger range, we say it's double. But don't worry about in Python. In Python, we don't have float and double stuff. We only have float data type. So float data type itself is very, very vast. And in Python, for God's sake, like people coming from Java and .NET background have a habit of remembering the range of data types. Don't do that ever in Python. Python data type ranges are almost infinity. Trust me. You see? So in Python, without decimal point, int. With decimal point, float. Simple. Two data types. Similarly, whether the data is a single character or the data is a few set of characters, it's immaterial. Both the data for me are string, whether single character or many characters. Immaterial, consider both to me as string. Now, with this very basic knowledge, friends, let me move on to the next thing. Operators indicate the different set of operations you can perform on a data. So when somebody is writing 3 plus 4 into 6, I know you will say that, Rocky sir, it's obvious, 4 into 6 is going to be calculated first because it's been given in the brackets, and then you're going to add 3 to it. I know. But the idea which I'm trying to tell you is not the calculation here. The idea I'm trying to tell you is that the bracket, the multiplication, the addition, all this are simply said operators. So you have literals like 3, 4, and 6. You can place them in any order, right? If I change the position of the literals, I put 3 inside, 4 outside, my calculation will change. Exactly. Obviously. So, or I put the plus inside and multiplication also, my calculation will change. So you can play around with these numbers, that is literals, and these operators to get different answers. Now, question is, how do I run this? How did I get a green tick? Now, there is a play button here. There is one option. Second option, come to the cell, click. And if you're using MacBook, you can use Shift Return. If you're using a Windows-based laptop, then you can use Shift Enter. So when I say Shift Enter, you can see the cell actually ran. And all these cells are super simple. As you can see, some calculation is happening and we're getting the answers. Now, you would notice that when an answer leads to a decimal point, you get that right. So this is the floating answer. This is an integer answer. It's very simple. If my answer is having, or my value or number is having no decimal point, it's immaterial whether it's positive or negative. No decimal point, simple. It's integer. Decimal point means it's float. Okay. Now, what is next? Friends, in every programming language, you must have a facility to print your answer, to print your question and to get the answer from the user. So print is so simple in Python. Print means it is going to print for you. So you can see that I'm printing two values here. And here I am declaring two string variables. The beauty is that in Python, you can declare strings in double quotes. You can declare strings in single quotes. You can also declare strings in triple quotes. We will come to a point where we use triple quotes. I know you'll say why we should use triple quotes when we can do things in double quotes and in single quote. Friends, there is a time that you may not have to assign only one or few words, but you want to assign a whole paragraph. If you want to assign a full paragraph, so if you want to assign something like this, follow me along. Okay, how have you been doing? So I ran this code. Now I press an enter here. See the red line that is coming. I'll show you again. No red line coming, huh? That means the declaration is correct. Okay. When I press an enter, I brought it to the next line. How have you been doing? Long time no see. I'm just asking you, saying long time no see. You'll say, Rocket, there seems to be something wrong. Yeah, exactly. There is something wrong, my friend. Therefore, you're seeing the error. No. Otherwise, why all this stuff is coming in red line? Now, see what I'm going to do next. Okay. I am putting triple quotes here. I am putting triple quotes here. Red line gone. Oh, so if you want to assign multiple lines, correct. If you want to assign multiple lines or the whole paragraph, we're just going over multiple lines. Then use triple quotes. Either it can be triple double quotes or it can be triple single quotes. No difference. Both will work. Don't worry. Okay. Now I say run. Oh, green tick. Wow, this ran. So let's see. Okay, before this print, shall I put print B3 also? Let's have a look. So first print B3 prints this entire para. Cool. And the second print statement is printing B1 also and B2 also with a concatenating between. Now, with this print statement B1 and B2 with a concatenating in between, like in many languages, you can concat strings by using plus symbol. Same applies for Python also. It's a way to concat. Concat means join two strings. Okay. Now, very nice thing, sweet thing about Python is if you want to repeat a string, you can multiply it. Strange, huh? Yeah, but this is the way it is. So the variable A above was declared as 3. So when I say B1 into A, you would see that B1 value was Python. So notice that B1 into A has repeated the value of A. If you think you want to remove A, fine, remove A. Okay, remove A. Just keep it as actually A was 7. I'm so sorry, I'm mistaken. I just showed you this. A was 7 actually, because A was redeclared no? As 7. So it was coming in 7. So this is easier to understand. So B1 into 3, I'm repeating for 3 times. So the multiplication operator, you know why I'm putting hashes? This is the way you write comments. So what I showed you right now was multiplication operator. The beauty is that all these operators are so simple. One time you see them, you get them, what they do. Now, printing was throwing output. Natural question which comes to your mind is, Rocky, what is the opposite of it? How do I get input from my user? That is more necessary for me. Exactly. So to get input from a user, you will use the input function. So input function, you are asking me your question, whatever you want to ask. Here, please remember this thumb rule. Never forget. I've given a comment here, that's my thumb rule. Input always accepted as a string. Input always accepted as a string means whatever input you give me, look at the way I'm running this code. This input is waiting here. So I say my name is ABC and I press enter. You know what has happened? ABC has gone into the variable name. So wherever I use the variable name, I see ABC coming in the output. You get me? Wherever I use a variable name, I will see ABC coming in the output. So hello ABC, congratulations on your first Python program. You see, right? So you get it. You got the output. Now I'm writing the next piece of program. I want to recall the rule. I hope all of you remember the rule that the input function returns to us a string. You see, whenever I use an input function, it returns to me a string. You see, so when the input function, my friend, returns to me a string, I need that we should appreciate this, that I can't take a string and divide them among each other. Strings are not numbers, no? So to do any mathematical operation, I need numbers. And therefore, an input function is going to be accepting your input as a string. You put the whole input function as a parameter to a typecasting function. This typecasting function here will convert your input into whatever you want. If you say float, he will convert to float. If you say int, he'll convert to int. I have set float. So obviously, this whole input gets converted into a float. And that data is coming into the variable called dividend. The next data is going into the variable called divisor. I'm doing nothing big. I'm just kind of dividing the two and getting my result into the quotient. And then further, I am printing the quotient. And I've given both the options here. Converting to integer will be int, converting to float is a function called float. Now, let us all experience how this code is going to run. Let me run the code for all of us friends. Let's say 50. And let's say the divisor is 3.5. Cool. So the answer is 50 divided by 3.5 is 14.285, so on and so forth. Now, I would, and I'm not so comfortable seeing the output of quotient coming. Oh my God, so many floating point results after the decimal. Doesn't make sense, right? Nobody wants such precise answers. It's okay if you give me the answer up to 2-digit precision. So, but natural is that after this normal print statement, you and I may feel, can we round the quotient, right? We should. So we put as rounded quotient is equal to, we use the round function, put the brackets there, comma 2, let me close it, and let's try this, friends. I'll this time give the same inputs like I gave last time, so that we have a quick comparison of our answers. 14.28, and this is like too clumsy to look at, so many digits, and 14.29 looks more decent, easier to comprehend for us. Now, friends, I'm quite confident. I'm feeling confident of my batch that they would have understood this very simple program. Now let us do one small thing, friends. Very, very small thing. Okay. So I would like to first tell you two things. First, how do you use Gemini? Like you can use Copilot. Similarly, you can use Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude for helping you to generate code. That's good. But I always insist people who are learning to program in this language don't immediately get used to using it. When you get stuck, you use. So if you get stuck, how do you use? Directly, you need not go outside to any other tool. From here only. Click on Generate with AI. See, this is a code block, right? How do you get this code block? You click on code here. You see, if you click on code, you get a code block. Okay. So click on Generate. He'll ask you for a prompt. Simple as prompt engineering. You give a prompt, he'll write the code for you. Okay. So let's say I'm writing a prompt here to generate a code for printing 10 prime numbers. Wow, done it. So he says that he has a function called isPrime, which is responsible to check if a number is prime or not. And if it is prime, obviously I'm going to return true. And if it is not prime, I'm going to return false. The function print primes is asking us for a count. If the count is 10, then I will print 10 prime numbers. If the count is 20, but naturally I will print 20 prime numbers, so on and so forth. I've set up a while loop here, which will go on up till the count value, as you can see. Understand the code logically. Don't put too much of stress. If you are new to Python, don't put too much of stress. Oh my God, Rocky, I don't know what is while loop. I don't know what is if. No. So don't take stress, because there are also pre-recorded do-it-yourself videos on Simplilearn's portal, which you need to go through. So you need to always understand the program logically. You see, logically you should be clear of the program, but while loop means I'm going to run that steps for a certain number of times. But I need to check whether my condition is getting satisfied or not. So for that purpose, okay, if structure has been used. You see, so I hope this program is giving you a kind of an idea that generating code is super easy. But the problem is, friends, if you keep generating code like this, then as a senior trainer in this field, I have a fear that when you actually have to code, in front of somebody, you may get stuck actually. You see, so to seek help, don't give him the whole code to code. Okay, later on, yes, but not at this starting phase. Okay, now what I want you to do is two things. First is to use this kind of a prompting. Need not generate 10 prime numbers. You do whatever prompting you want to and get the code here and try running the code. Oh, I didn't try running this code. No, my mistake, my bad. Let me try running the code. Have a look. You can check yourself. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, and 23. Yeah, this is all prime numbers. You're correct. Okay, now I'm putting a comment here. And I want all of you to think with patience how you write this kind of code. So I want you to accept different salary components. What could be the salary components looking like? So we could have an HRA. Okay, of course. I'm so sorry. We're going to have the basic first, obviously. Okay. First is going to the basic. 30% of basic, let me take it as HRA. Of course, HRA will vary from state to state. Go to 30%, go to 35% also. Vary from state to state. Okay. What other components would you like to suggest me? Come on, come on. Other components. Basic, 30% of basic is HRA, of course. PF, 12%. Should I keep 12%? Come on, 12%, 15%, what? 12%, okay. PF 12%, okay. So 12% of basic is PF. One more component, please. One more component, only one more. Be specific, which allowance? Should I keep traveling allowance as 5,000 rupees? Is it okay? Petrol allowance, traveling allowance, 5,000 rupees is fine. Okay, sure. Okay, DA, I forgot DA, right? DA, what percentage should I keep DA? 10%. 5%. Okay, performance allowance. You want me to keep Gurjit performance allowance? Okay, I will. Performance allowance. Actually, it's a variable component. I don't know. What percentage? What, 5%, 6%? What? Tell me, Gurjit, tell me the percentage, please. 5%? Okay. Let me not keep both. I'll keep 6%, Gurjit, because I just want to avoid confusion. This is 5% to 6%. Okay. Right? Now, so friends, you have these details in front of you. Now, what the logic could be? First thing, the logic. Only then code. You are not able to code, I don't have a problem. But if you're not able to think of the logic, I have a problem. Okay. Without logic building, you're going nowhere. Even the prompt engineering tool cannot help you, because in the prompt you have tried the logic, so that he gives you the correct program always. Otherwise, he will keep giving you the wrong program, which you will feel is correct. You get me? Right? So what the logic could be? Logic could be accept my basic. Of course, you're going to accept my name also, no? So you'll accept my name and the basic component. salary we have to calculate. Then the next logic is going to be calculate what? This all what is? Calculate this all. 30% HRA, 30% of basic HRA, 12% of basic PF, 5% of basic DA, 6% of basic performance allowance. So what next? Add up all components, right? Add up all components. That's it. Print final sal. This is my logic. So friends, I want you to think. If I miss some step in the logic, you can please correct me. So my first step is going to be, there is a name and there is a basic. Again, if you notice, see what happened. See what happened in front of you. You say, Rocky, this is helping you. Ah, exactly. This is going to help you. So you haven't to use Copilot or Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude externally. You are having everything here. That's it. You just built the logic. He learned what logic I built. Now he will keep guiding me according to logic. I have no problems. I find this is good. So I say tab. Moment I say tab, he has accepted your name, put into the name variable. Accepted your basic salary, convert to float, you put in the basic variable. Very nice. So remember to type the logic first so that you can get help. And I'll tell you one thing very good. One thing is when you are coding here, Collab Notebooks uses internally Gemini. Gemini learns what kind of coding you're doing. So the more you code yourself here, the more the better the help he can give you because he understands you. You see, right? Okay, Gurjeet, you are asking me that I've taken performance. I've taken every component here as monthly to calculate monthly salary. Okay, at the moment. So name something, basic something. Cool. What I want to do now is calculate. You'll say, Rocky, that's simple. Exactly. Where I'm saying this is complex. Did I ever say that? No. So I want to calculate 30%. 30% means 0.3 of what? Obviously, you have the basic friends. And okay. So that's your basic here. Now I can do the same logic for Provident Fund. See this? See this? I'll type it again. Huh? See this? What happened? You'll say, wow, this is nice. That is the advantage of having logic above. If I had not typed the logic, then please remember what you see on my screen as a hint would have never come. Now I have to only type tab and he completes the whole thing for me. This is Rocky. This is HRA. This is Provident Fund. This is DA. Okay. And this is performance allowance. Cool. Makes sense to me. So now I have to calculate the total salary. So I say final sal, or if you say no, Rocky, no final, say only salary. Cool. I have no problem. I'll say as you say, sir. So salary is equal to, obviously I need to have basic first, sorry, plus, wow, this is nice. He's having brains, huh? Tab. So I press tab, he comes and brings in everything. Now I would like to run this code, friends. So I say shift enter. See, he's asking me your name. So I'm entering your name as ABCD. He's asking what is the basic salary. So I enter basic salary is, let's say, 1 lakh. Now he says, Rocky, if your salary is 1 lakh, then your takeaway home or your gross salary should be 1,53,000. With me? So friends, did you learn the way I am coding? I'm not teaching you this program. I'm teaching you the way of coding. I want you to cultivate this habit. In this 3 sessions, you have to cultivate this habit because we're not going to sit back and code in the class. As the time progresses and as you move ahead with courses which are machine learning, deep learning, Gen AI based, you will have very large programs. So if you code like this, Your Gemini in Colab notebook will learn you more and more and more and will help you more and more. Now, I'm closing this notebook and I'm going to the next notebook, which is very similar. It's very similar to the next previous notebook. Okay. So there are a lot of examples here. Some examples, of course, I'm going to skip because they are very, very simple. Friends, now if I look at this piece of code, the initial part is very straightforward of what is an integer, what is a float, what is a string, and what are Boolean types. Boolean types means true or false. So I think something which I can, skip, something which I can skip and keep it for all of you to investigate is the first few programs, the first few code snippets. By the way, one small thing, double asterisk in Python means raise to. So this means I am taking this number, raising it to 100. I'm taking this number, raising it to 100. Okay, right? So you'll say, Rocky, this number itself is so big. Raising it to 100 is going to be phenomenally big. I told you some time back, friends, never ever bother about data ranges in Python. If you start bothering, you're wasting your time. Don't do that. See the number output I got in Python. See, this is like phenomenal. This seems to be like weird. See this. The number flows unknown. So Python is not going to give you an exception, of a number out of range and all that stuff like Java or JavaScript does. Don't worry about all those things in Python. Okay. So you have these good examples here. Then this is something which I always tell my batchmates to scan it yourself, where you should know that there is something called as a scientific notation to represent numbers, in which we use the term called E. E here means base 10. The term E here means base 10. So something which is a number like 4E2, it actually means 4 into 10 raised to 2. And something like 7.38 E minus 3 corresponds to 7.38 into 10 raised to minus 3. So on and so forth. Right? So I hope I'm not confusing anyone, friends. So this seems to be clear. Now, obviously, you should feel to ask me that, Rocky, when will I use scientific notation? That's a good question. So you should use scientific notation when the number is too big or too small. You see, when the number is too big or too small. So if the number is too big or too small, then the idea is that it's going to be actually, it's good that we use the scientific notation. You see, right? Okay. Now we move further, friends, to look, which I'm giving you the work is to go through all these programs. So in strings, we have all these data members are of type string. I can have single quotes, I can have double quotes, I can have triple quotes. You see, all of them being used for the purpose of being holding strings. Idea is very simple. If you have a single line data, you can use double quotes or single quotes. Okay. And if you're going to have multiple line data members, then you should use triple quotes, as you could see here. You see, right? I hope you're able to get this point very clear. Okay. Now we move further. All these are very one-liner programs, which are very similar to what we have done in the previous notebook. This is for practice, which I want you to just go through once and run it. One small thing, A is true, print A, which will actually be holding a data as true or false, and then go ahead printing that. Okay. We move further here. Application of Boolean indicates that when we use Boolean data, we are able to take a decision. So the application of Boolean is to take decisions. So whenever you use relational operator, the outcome is a Boolean data. So is A equal to B? Answer is no. So it printed for me false. Is A less than B? Answer is yes. So it printed true for me. So this true and false can be used for decision making. So you need to have a if else construct to take a decision. And therefore, the outcome of this relational operator, which can either be true or false, will help if to take a decision. And thereby, a decision that is taken here indicates whether the data is equal or not equal. Okay, right? I hope up till this point, things are going very simple and very clear. Okay, right. So Shuntanu says, under the hood, what is a storage model? Storage models will not be discussed. This is not advanced Python class. And this is not a class for memory storage discussions. This is just 3 classes for getting you acquainted with programming fundamentals. So this will not be discussed. Akash, we have a function called log, which is separate. That doesn't apply here in the e base 2. So this e is not log. This e here is 10 raised to something. When talking of log, there are log to the base 10. There is natural log also. So there's a separate function called log in the math library of Python, which can help you doing that. Okay, right? So friends, I want all of you to take maybe maximum 3 to 5 minutes, not more than that, please. 3 to 4 minutes is good enough, trust me, to quickly run through these sample programs, which I just spoke about right now. Go through this and run them. So let us move ahead at the same speed what we move right now. So this is like too simple, friends. This is just too simple. Okay. The good part about Python, friends, is that Python is a dynamically typed language. Like if you compare with Java, you first have to declare a variable. Also with C or C++, you first declare a variable of a type and then assign value to it. Java is reverse. Sorry, Python is reverse to Java. It's dynamically typed language, which means whatever value you are assigning to me, A says, whatever value you are assigning to me, I will derive my data type. Nice, no? This sounds nice, no? So whatever value you are assigning to me, I'll derive my type. So type A indicates what is the data type of the variable A. Simple as this, right? So if I run this piece of code, I realize that what I'm getting is class float and class int, indicating that in this case, the type is float. In this case, type is int. This is nice. Wow. Okay. Further, when I take an input, friends, it's immaterial. Whatever you input function will always return data of type integer only. Example, if somebody says that, no, Rocky, I have entered 23 and 67.8, please don't be under the wrong impression. You have not entered integer and float here, because input function by default will accept the input always as a string only. Okay, what you could do is, as an extra work, is find the type of both the variables to prove to yourself. You see, to prove to yourself. Like, for example, please have a look what happens now. I'm entering a number 23, and it says that this is a type data string. I enter 45.78. It still says you have entered a string. Obviously, no, I have never converted it. When did I convert my input into an integer or into a float? I didn't do it. So it's going to be string naturally, right? The beauty of strings is they are concatable. So if I have this kind of data, I can actually concat them. Notice this is 23. Concatenated 45.78. Oh, right? So concatenation. You can find type like this also. Okay, this is simple concatenation. But if you wish to convert into an integer or a float, you will use a typecasting function, int or float, which you have already learned, my friends. Okay, right? We will discuss, if required, a few programs. Let me talk about one or two so that you can quickly go through them. And then obviously I plan to give you a freshening up break. Okay, because listening to somebody for continuously 1.5 2 hours is also difficult. So let me but discuss this. Okay, this first one at least. Okay, so there are some program written here. Find some difference product and true division of two integers. Okay, this is simple. Write a program to find area of a rectangle. Okay, cool. So let's do this. So we are finding area of a rectangle by accepting two inputs, both converted into float, reasons known to all of us friends. Area found, but area could be a very floating point precise number. So I don't want, a lot of digits to be printed here. So the best option is to go by rounding the function. Let's have a look. So 45.67. Okay. Next is 5.77 and it gives me the answer. But if I don't put rounding, then it will give me an answer which is like too heavy in terms of, right? Now, let's look at the next one. Over here, it's a very straightforward program. You have got the two inputs A and B, and you are performing all the four operations. And in one shot, you are printing all the answers. I know, friends, you may have felt that, Rocky, don't you feel that we should give a choice of the input operation which we should make? I think that makes a lot of sense. So we can definitely add a code here instead of doing all the four operations. Okay, let us do that. Okay, let us say that, okay, we can do all the four operations, but we can also write, we can also add on our own the version 2 of the above code in the same piece. Let all answers get printed. There's no problem. The version 2 of the above code could be that, I could ask my user for an input option. You see, I could ask my user for an input option where we could ask him, option will not be a float, right? So I'll just put it as int only, and I'll say enter an option. See, there can be many permutation combinations for this. We can improve this program and sit for 1 hour and keep improving this. But the whole idea is that in a calculator, you don't do all the four operations. If you're taking two inputs, you always ask the user what choice he wants to have. So we're just trying to make it a little more realistic. So we're asking for an option and he will enter an option, but he could enter anything, right? So if he is entering an option, oh, what is this? If he's entering an option, oh, this makes sense to me. He found out the whole answer. If I'm entering the option as plus, I'll do this. Else if minus, I'll do this. Else if multiplication, I'll do this. Else if division, I'll do this. But I see one thing is missing. It's not missing. He's leaving it to you. He's leaving it to you because he does not know what is a fail-safe operation. Understand? You have to decide the safety net. How can he decide the safety net for you? So if the option is none of these, then what we'll do is we have to decide. Now, how can he decide for us? So he's not suggesting also. And I think that is a wise decision. He should not suggest. We should do it ourselves. So I should say wrong operator. Okay. Or I can politely say to the person that please check your operator entered. I think that will help him, help the user. Correct. So let us do this once, friends. I run the code. Oh, I forgot to put the colon symbol. See, I made a mistake. Okay. So let us enter some input 45 and 4. Let's see. First, all answers got printed in front of you, but version 2 is running now. So version 2 is asking, what do you want to do? So let's say I want to do multiplication. And he says answer is multiply this 180. That's right. Okay. So I think this version 2, all of you can dynamically add right now. That's not a big deal. This is just too simple. Okay. So you can run all your code blocks, friends, up to this point. The very basic math module. So the very basic module is called the math module. If I import the math module, I will get all built-in math functions, which one can think and use. like sine, cos, log, various functions. To know how many functions or constants does a module has, you can try using the function called help. So help and math, you'll get the answer. But nowadays, people don't do this. What people do nowadays is straight away take the module name and ask a question on ChatGPT or on Claude or on Gemini, and they get the answer. And this is a trend which I've been noticing in everyone in the last 1 year, and it is absolutely okay. It is fine. No need to do this. Ultimately, you want to know about the module. So either way around, you can know about the module. That's okay, absolutely. Now, there is some small demonstration here of some math functions. So if I want to find factorial of some number, there is no need to write any program. There is a ready function, friends, called factorial. Please notice. Okay. And right, so you can use factorial function. You see? And factorial gives you the answer. So you can see the answer coming up here. Rounding is being done. You get the round answer. Seal means, let's say you're standing on, wherever you are right now. Let's say you stand up. So the floor you stand and there is a ceiling above you. So ceiling means I can't go above it, right? So if you write a number here, ceiling will take you to the next highest integer number, 5.001. The next highest integer is 6. Right? So math.seal, you get the answer as 6. And math.floor, you get the answer as 7. So I hope you kind of get this. It's very simple. And it's clear that seal is going to take you to the next integer, and floor will take you to the next lower integer. At a very basic level, we have now a decent knowledge of how we can print, how we can accept input, what are the different data types available in Python. And of course, we know a bit of math functions also. The idea is that, you see, I can go to the next notebook also, but the idea is not that. The idea is that you should be able to build on some logic and do some very basic coding yourself without the help of ChatGPT, without the help of any GenAI tool. Doing it yourself is also fun. Okay, so what is my requirement now? Let's think about it. Friends, we all know that there is a process of login in every application. And a login process, the login process requires one to verify their username and password. Am I correct or wrong, friends? I hope I'm correct, right? It requires to log in, verify your username and password. That's a login process. So verify username and password. So my requirement goes something like this. So sorry. My requirement goes something like this, that I want to accept the username. Okay, username can be small or big, that I can't control. User has a choice to choose his username. Okay. Similarly, we will accept the password also from the user. But friends, in password, you can put limitations and restrictions on the minimum size of it, right? So we want a minimum of a minimum length, you see, of the password to what? Let's choose what should we keep it, 8 or 9? Come on, you choose 7, 8, 9, 10. What do you want? You choose. Okay. Yes, 8. Okay, 8. Fine. So minimum length we want is 8. And should we keep some more constraint like alphanumeric? Come on, take a call. Should we get alphanumeric? Make it's fun, no? Yeah, we should, right? Okay. So password should be alpha numeric. Okay. And it should have, see, it can be at least 1 or it should be exactly 1. Now, this is a call which we can take. So we'll keep at least. one special character. Okay. Oh, spelling mistake, sorry. Right. So this is what the requirement is. If it is success, so if username, logical and password, you see, if username and password, both. Now, when you say Rocky, how do you say if username and password both are matching? Correct, you are correct. Now, how do I say if username and password both are matching? So what we can do is, before the login process, we can tell the user to register, and in registration, we will obviously accept the username, accept the password, you see, with the following constraints, which we have already discussed. There is no need to rediscuss it. So this is sorted. And during the login process, we will verify if username and password both are validated. So validation is different. Now, validation means the above steps. Validation means above, that it should alphanumeric and all that stuff. If username both are validated, then verify with the register details. Registration was done once, no? Registration will be done once at the start. And then you always compare with the registration. So there is difference between validation and verification, my friends. Validation means that there are some thumb rules or some input rules of your system. Example, password should have minimum length of 8 characters is validation, not verification. Verification would be that what password you have entered during the process of registration. I like to verify against that. Okay. So username and password both are validated, then verify with the registration details. In this case, any one condition can be true. That means, let's say you can log in or get an OTP either through a mobile number or through an email ID. I'm just giving a situation. You see, I'm highlighting this a greater than 0, but I'm giving you a practical situation. So let's say you want to get an OTP off on a website. The website says enter your email or mobile number. So either this or this. Anyone should work. If anyone works, great. You can log in. Not is actually to reverse things. That's it. Okay. Now, operator precedence is something you really haven't to study or remember, but because you're not supposed to go and give a theoretical exam here, but then, okay, you should be aware about it at least, that there are precedences in operators. In operator, we have a precedence which we called as PEMDAS. Look at the rule, PEM DAS, DAS, PEMDAS, where P stands for parenthesis, E stands for exponent, M stands for multiplication, D for division, either whichever division, A for addition, S for subtraction. That means in an expression, when all these things are given together, what is going to first work is what is given inside the brackets. You see, what's given inside the brackets is going to work first. Okay. So in this entire expression, first, this bracket is going to get performed, right? After this bracket gets performed, then you will, actually, now if you notice over here, I don't see the comparison operator anywhere. Please notice, I don't see the comparison operator anywhere. That means comparison operator is going to be even after this. So after 4 divided by 2, I'm going to add 1 to it. Then I'm going to compare with greater than 2 or not. You see, same applies here. First, I will do 4 raised to 2, which is going to be 8. Then I will check is 3 greater than 8 or not. Okay, so the first answer is false. Second answer is true. False and true is obviously false. So when you solve a problem, you haven't to do that, friends. But then idea is if you solve the problem in your mind, then applying PEMDAS rule will help you to know how the expression is evaluating. One very simple thing, when you use comparison operator in Python, remember whether a number is an integer or is a float. Fundamentally, it is comparing a number to a number. So don't worry about the fact that I'm putting 3 here, I'm putting 3.0 here. So Rocky, this is not same. How I'm getting true? I appreciate, friends, this is Java or maybe C or C++. I'm assuming that you may not get true there, but in Python, you do get true. because Python says both are fundamentally number data types to me. So he understands that both mean the same thing. No wonder I get the answer as true. Next, this is a very interesting operator, friends, called membership operator. It is used to check, is the left entity present in the right data? I repeat, is the left entity present in the right data? If it is yes, I'll get the answer is true. You'll say, Rocky, P is there in Python. There's capital P, there's a small p. Tomorrow, if you write capital P here, then you will definitely get yes. I'm going to say true. Similarly here, I'm trying to check whether 5 exists in this list of numbers, and it does. So I get the answer as true. I know in your minds, you will be wondering what is the use of this. Okay, imagine I have names of 5 people like Rocky, Chandra, Prabhu, so on and so forth. And I want to check is, let's say somebody called Seema, is she there in this list of people? If she's there, I'll get the answer as true. And if not, I'll get the answer as false. Simple, right? Okay, this is very simple. Augmented assignment operator means you're doing kind of a shorthand trick here. So initially A is 1, you're saying A plus equal to 1, A plus equal to 1, where A plus equal to 1 means you are incrementing A by 1, which gives you the answer, as you can see, as 2. Okay, similar examples here for other operators. Okay, now this is using the math library, which you saw yesterday also. Forget the practice problems, please. So, you can skip after this. Yeah, as a homework, you may go through. I'm not denying it. Like, for example, this is a nice program where I'm expecting you to accept your name, age, gender, occupation, your weight in kgs, and your height in inches. And I want you to calculate the BMI. Right? So the formula for BMI is, I'll take the weight divided by the height. Now, because friends, the height is given in centimeters. So I have to convert it into meters. Now, that's the formula, right? You divide the weight by height in meters. So I'm accepting your height in centimeters and I'm going to divide it into meters. And then I have to raise it to 2. So this is going to be like height in meters square. So weight divided by height in meters, the whole square. So I get the value of BMI. You see, somebody's data has been entered and I got the answer as this. Okay, now don't get confused here and don't take too much of stress. I've done all permutation combinations of all these operators. You may feel to ask me that, Rocky, why false or 1 is false? Please don't get into it. You will be wasting your time. Okay, so because you're not, please understand, friends, your objective is not to go ahead compete with an interpreter of Python. If you're a fresher and you think that you're giving a competitive exam that also based in Python somewhere, which is very rare, and then you need to go in with this kind of, so that's a different issue. Python certification exams have these kind of questions coming in, but not otherwise. No company is going to ask you these questions. But I've kept it here for the heavily inquisitive mind that, okay, can I do this? Can I do that? So I've kept it here. You see, so that, okay, they are relaxed. Okay, this is possible. By the way, I'll give you one simple trick. Friends, whenever there is an OR operator, please remember OR operator locates what is true. So whether I have a true on the left or on the right, OR will look at that. So if I look at 1 or false, I'll get the answer as 1. So Rocky, how 1? Why not true? Because understand, friends, OR operator does not goes for false at all. So if he does not go for false at all, then he has no option. You understand, he has no option. He has only one option to look at 1. So he takes up the value which is non-false. The non-false value can be 1 also, 10 also. If I put 10, I'll get the output as 10. 20, I get the output as 20. You see, so this is the whole idea. Okay, right? So friends, now I think I promised you 10-12 minutes. I took that time. I'm ready to give you 5-6 minutes. Kindly please go through the code block, whatever you find interesting. Some of you may find the PEMDAS rule interesting. Some of you may find the membership operator interesting. You see, so whatever you found something which you never knew about, you spend more time on that. Something which you already know, why you want to waste time there? Right? So take 6 or 7 minutes, scan this node. If you wish to run all the cells in one shot, you can do it, friends. See this runtime here. Click on runtime, say run all cells will run in one go. Right, friends? So I hope you have gone through. Don't get into the trap of, I can give you maybe 15 more such combinations, which probably are a little trickier to, think about it. But please understand, you're not competing here with the Python interpreter. Point number one, at least as a part of this course of where you're talking about GenAI based applications. And you're not looking at a Python certification program. If this is a Python certification course, for example, there are some institutions at international level which conduct Python certification exams. Then they ask one or two questions of this kind. Okay, otherwise this is of no use, trust me. In machine learning, generative AI field of programming, this is of no use. Okay, but just to answer you, quickly on a few questions over here. So, see, get this idea very clear, friends. Whenever you have an OR operator, no, the OR operator always tries to pick an answer which is not false. But the problem is that 0 is also considered as false. Now, because 0 is false, so OR operator does not evaluates. So when you get an answer of 0 or false with false, I want you to self-realize this. Instead of somebody coming and telling you, as I told you, friends, there can be 15, 20, 30 more such combinations. How many will you keep remembering? So what is more important is self-realization that, okay, my trainer told me that whenever it's an OR operator, it tries to pick up a non-zero data, a non-false data, but 0 is false. Correct. So because 0 is false, the OR operator short circuits and does not checks what is ahead and simply picks up blindly what is ahead of it and throws in the output. This is what is done. Therefore, you see the output is false. You see, right? One way of thinking. Another way of thinking is this way. Rocky, 0 is false. False is also false. False with false obviously will be false naturally. So it is on you how you interpret it. Okay, right? So this is the way you need to think and introspect about it. Now, when you say this is string, you say C is a string. C must have a value, no? C must have a value, right? So C has a value like 0 and A has a value like 1, 0. So think about it, friends. If somebody is writing data like this in front of you and I'm writing like this, think about it. And if I'm asking you in very humble words, that is 0 contained in this string of characters, you will naturally say yes. How can you say no? 0 is contained in this character set 1, 0. You'll say, yeah, Rocky, it's yes, exactly. And therefore, I repeat, therefore, you see the answer coming up as 1. Okay, I'm to say true. Okay, right. So this is the answer. Like this, if you start interpreting every example, you would realize that, okay, but you need to have patience. You cannot do everything on earth in this 5 or 6 minutes which I gave you. This needs more patient interpretation. Okay, I think I gave you enough inputs that this needs to be interpreted with patience. Okay, so with OR, it's short circuiting. With AND, the entire funda is that if one of the input is false, it's immaterial. What the other input is, output is going to be false. Simple. Okay, right? So I think, can we move further from this notebook? Is this going good? At least the question which you have asked on the prompt, I think I've been able to answer them. But again, I'm telling you with my experience that this is not the end of your questions. If you start introspecting this more and more, you will have 5 more questions coming in. You see, but you need to just get the very basic rules which I just mentioned to you clear, and don't compete with the Python interpreter. It's of no use. Don't get into that circuit. You see, try to visualize with an example. Is it doing it or not? You see, so that I just explained right now that there are 2 ways of interpreting it. So 0 or false. 0 is also false. So false and false is always false. So answer is coming as false. You see, there's one way of interpreting that way. Second way of interpreting is this way, that if my first input is false, you see, OR is going to short circuit. He's not going to bother what is ahead of it. He will just throw whatever is given here. Both the ways of interpreting is correct. You see, it depends on what you get accustomed with and interpret that way. Okay. Both the ways you will see the answer coming the same. Friends, when you write a program, The natural flow of the program is always sequential. You see, the natural flow of the program is always sequential. It goes one after the other, step A, then B, then C. But there are points of time it doesn't make sense. I mean, I need to take a decision. Should I execute the code block 2 or 3? So I can put that code block in an if else statement. That's decision control. At times, I need to put a code block to repeat it for a certain number of times, let's say 5 times or 10 times. That's called as iterative control structure. Okay, so let's see this. Now, this is very simple. This is a sequential flow or flow of program. If I want to that the step C1 is getting, the value C1 is getting printed, I'm obviously making a reasonable assumption that all the steps up till C1 have got properly interpreted and executed by the Python interpreter. You see, I make the reasonable assumption. Obviously, friends, if any of these steps had an error, then I would not have reached and wouldn't have been able to print C1, right? This is sequential flow of my program. So in decision control structures, for all my beginner programmers, please understand this very carefully. And for people who have been programming, of course, this will be boring for you, but be here for a few minutes till we get into programming. So in my normal flow, I'll check with the condition. If the condition is true, I'll execute the part of the if block. But if my condition is false, I'm going to execute the part after the conditional block. Now, there are different types of conditional statements. I can have simple if statement. I can have an if else statement. I can have many if else statements nested inside each other. And I can also have if else statement. This basically, means that I'm looking at multiple ladder of if else conditions. Sometimes, friends, what you can do by this or what you can do by this, you can very easily, more neatly do it by something called as conditional expressions or ternary operator. This is very interesting. You will see this, you will feel fascinated. Oh, this is so nice. So first time programmers, they will feel that Rocky, instead of doing step 3 or 4, styling, you find this is better. Many people find this is better, to be very honest. But some people find this very confusing also. So, it's person to person, but nevertheless, the effect is going to be the same. Whether I use 3 or 4 or 5, I can achieve the same, end target. Okay, look at the syntax. If you're going to put your condition here, put a pair of, put a colon over here, write as many statements as you want to, which is going to be part of the if block. Friends, in Python from yesterday, you would have noticed there is no concept of opening bracket and closing bracket. You see, Python works on the basis of indentation, where indentation means that you are having, I repeat, where indentation means you are having a certain left margin. So all these statements which are having the same left margin are put into, the block called if. Similarly, the statement X, which is not following the same indentation, but rather following a different indentation, is actually considered to be out of the if block. Have a look here. Now, I have assigned a variable A as -3. I am trying to check that is it greater than 0. Fact is, it is not. And therefore, these two statements will not get printed. So I'll not enter the if block, friends. I'm going to just print this statement. This statement is what? Else part? No. This statement is simply written outside the if block. So I say this is the if block. What I'm highlighting is the if block. And this is the part which is coming normally after the if block. Simple. Okay. Now, let's take a very simple example. You see, you write a program to prompt user to enter their name, age, and amount to be paid by them. I'm going to ask you to modify this program and make it a little better. So first listen to me in terms of what we have coded, and then I'll give you some comments to improve. I've accepted 3 inputs here. Friends, a very quick question. May I know what is this int function and this float function doing here, please? thing can please answer. What is this int and float doing outside the input function? Converting, typecasting. That's awesome, my class. You guys are Avengers. Before I could complete the question, you started answering. Prabhu, Chandra, and Balaji, Akash. Wow, that's very fast. Typecasting, you're right. So you're typecasting, you're converting the input taken by the input function, which is a string form, into the respective format, could be float or int or anything else. Okay. I'm trying to check whether the age is above 55. If it is, I think I'm giving a 10% discount in your overall amount. But if the age is less than 55, then there is no discount. You pay the whole amount as is. Okay. Now, instead of we taking the discount coupon only on the basis of age, I want you to look at this as well. Let this code remain as is. Let this code remain as is. I have no problems. But I want one more condition to be, taken into regard, is this, that if your build amount is greater than 2000 and logical and, okay, I know I have only taken the name, age, and the build amount. I have not taken something like a discount voucher, but I am assuming that we will ask the user that, do you have a discount voucher as happy 10? So if you have a discount voucher called happy 10, or rather I should say, we will ask him a discount voucher code, and if it is equal to happy 10, then I want you to give him a 10% discount. So I hope you're able to connect the dots. If your build amount is more than 2000, okay, right, and the discount voucher code is happy 10, then you need to give 10% discount. You'll say, okay, we'll modify this code. No. Why do you want to modify code? Let the code be there. No, let that code be there. You write your own code here below. You see, don't worry about it. No, there is no harm. ABC, name, age 56, build amount 2000, you become 1800. It's okay. Again, we'll print. What is the problem? We'll print all this factors again. Why to worry about it? So enter your build amount. Build amount is already accepted now. If it is more than 2000, I've written now. So if it is 2000, I'm not going to accept. It should be more than 2000. Okay. So if it's more than 2000, you'll get the first discount also, and you'll get the second discount also. You get me? Everyone is getting me on this, right? So come on, go ahead, friends. Try adding up this much part to the code. I think you should take about 4 minutes. So scan the above part and think how to code this part. Friends, I'm moving ahead now. So the way we did with if, we can obviously have a similar condition called if else, where if else basically means that you will check for a condition. If it is satisfied, I will run the if block. And if the condition is not satisfied, I will move to the else and run the else part. After the if else block, I naturally have a statement for regular execution. You see, I naturally have a statement for regular execution. Now, what is next? So what I see here, friends, is that if my number is divisible by 2, obviously then it's an even number, else it's a odd number. Now let's look at, okay, this is not needed to do any introspection. This is just the same program. After collecting some details, the same program is written with an if-else structure, that if the person's age is above 55, you give him 10% discount. But if he is not above 55, then you go to the else part and simply tell him to pay the entire bill. You see? And this is the next thing. Another example of finding which number is greater. So if A is greater than B, then I will print A greater than B. else I would print b greater than a. Okay, right? This is simple, right? Now, this is a very interesting piece of code, and I'm trying to use a module called random, my friends. So I'm importing the module called random as any variable r. By the way, you can put any variable here. You can even put your name here. You see, you can put Rocky here, or you can put your name here. So importing random as r, wherever, suppose if I put, instead of r, I put over here ABC, then I'll have to use ABC whenever I'm calling any method of random. I'll have to put ABC if I'm calling any method of random. Okay, so let's see. So r dot random integer 1, 5. This means I'm producing a random number in the range 1 to 5. You see, and I'm bringing that number into R num. So I'm trying to build a very simple game where I'm telling the computer to choose a random number. Understand? I'm telling the computer, see, when I run this code, it's obvious when I run this code, my computer is asked, is choosing a random number. I do not know what number is come in R num. Please understand, I do not know what number has come in R num. And I'm asking the user, can you guess that number? It's a guessing game. I'm asking the user to guess that number, like gambling guessing game. So user is going to give me a choice. I'll take it in num. Therefore, I'm asking the user to enter a choice. Let's say I enter 3. He says, Rocky, better luck next time. The computer's choice was 4. Game is over. Thank you for playing. I tell, okay, this is fun. So whatever number I enter comes into num. If my num is equal to R num, I will get printed as you win. Else, I'm going to get better luck next time. Computer's choice was so and so. Let me run the code once again. Let me see if I'm lucky this time. I'll choose 5. Oh my God. He says, better luck next time. Computer's choice was 1. Game over. This is called as format printing. Now, this format printing over here indicates that in this entire statement, I'm going to use a placeholder or a variable for which I need the value. You see, so in a normal, normally we in double quotes, like what we do in double quotes, we usually just put a string, right? We don't put variables in it, right? So along with the string, if you're having a variable or a placeholder also, which or whose value you wish to derive, you see, whose value you wish to derive, then we need to put an F over here, which means format specifier. Okay, you are getting me on this, right, Nagdeep? Hope this is getting clear. Yep, thank you. Great, friends. So let's move further. So friends, we are going into if else structure now, where we're looking at nested if else, by the way. So if there is an if condition, this is considered as a true block over here. And in this true block, we have an if part and we have an else part. You get me, right? We have an if part and we have an else part. Okay. So please get this very clear. If the if condition, the outer if block, you see the outer if block condition goes true, then this entire part runs. If the outer if condition fails, then the else part's complete part runs. Okay, right? Yeah. So by the way, Nagdeep, your query is very appropriate. Format specifiers like %d for integer, %f for float, %s for string are also available to you in Python. You see, so they are available. So this is an easier way of doing things in Python. Yeah, so they're also available. And they also can be used. And you will see programs coming ahead where I've used them as well. Okay, so don't need to worry about it. Great. So this is a very simple program, friends, in which I'm trying to find the greatest of the 3 numbers. How are we going about? So I've got three numbers over here, that is A, B, and C. If A greater than B, if this condition is true, then I get into my inner if block. You get me? If condition is true, then I'm getting into my inner if block. So if this condition is true, then this part of my code executes. Else, if A is not greater than B, please get this. Else if A is not greater than B, this part will get skipped and I'll come to the else part and this part of the code will get executed. Okay. Now friends, I hold on this and I'm asking you, I want you to answer. Here also I've done the similar way of coding. How is this piece of code different from the above piece of code? How is this piece of code which I'm highlighting on my screen different from objective is same? Here also I'm finding the largest of all the numbers. How is that this different from this piece of code? What difference do you find in both? I want your theoretical answer. Very nice. Very nice, my class. In the first case, we all are using nested if else, while in this case over here, we're using a ladder of if else. And because we're using a ladder of if else, we would definitely need some operators like an AND operator or OR operator. So this is an AND or OR operator. Okay, right? Right. So you get me on this, everyone? Perfect. So I'm holding on this. I want you to execute up till task 5. You'll say, Rocky, task 5 is something which no, sorry, not task 5. So sorry. Task 4. Task 4 is this. Nested if else and this one. So execute all your programs up till finding largest of three numbers using logical operators up till this point. Perfect. Now let's see this. Let's make a program a little better. Last time we gave only one turn. This time we are giving two turns. You get me? Last time we gave only one turn, right? This time we're giving two turns. So let's have a look at this. So what I see here is import random. I'm generating a random number. Let the system get the random number. So this is a computer generated number, which I'm supposed to guess. So the first guess here is the first chance computer is giving me to guess. I will check. In the first guess, if you go correct, you win. Else, I'll give the computer is giving me another chance to guess. That means my first guess was wrong. So obviously I won't get the first guess again. So I get the second chance. I'll check. If it's still there, you win. Else, it's that I've lost the game because I've got two chances and whatever is the correct answer. Let's try doing this. Let's see. So I've entered 4. Oh my God. So 4 didn't work. That means the number of the computer and my guess were different. Now I'll give 5. Oh my God. So you lose. The correct answer was 2. Game over. Thank you for playing. So this program is, trying to use if else in a smart way so that I can give two guesses to my user. Okay. Now, this is of course very clear, friends, that in if else ladder, you can have many conditions given. A very simple example is calculating a grade where I'm asking the student to enter his marks. I'm trying to check if his marks is greater than 90. I print grade A. Else if the marks is greater than 75, I print grade B. L60, grade C. 45, grade D, so on and so forth. You see, so on and so forth. So enter the marks of the student. Let's say the student got 98 marks. This is grade A. Next case, the student got 70 marks. That's grade C, right? So I hope you're getting this. It's very simple. This is a fun-loving example. The whole idea is that if the number is divisible by 3 and 5 both, you will print fizz buzz. if the number is divisible by only 3 and not 5, only 3 and not 5. An example could be 12. 12 divisible by only 3 but not by 5. I'll print fizz. Similarly, there are more conditions also given. And if none of these conditions are satisfied, do nothing, just print the number as is. Okay. So friends, instead of assuming a fixed number, I would suggest that you should modify this code where you will accept the number from the user and then start applying these conditions according to the rules that is given here. The same program of fizzbuzz written here has been rewritten here, but this program looks a little more neater because instead of nested if else, I have used if elif else ladder. Whenever you use a ladder, remember the program will look a little more neater. You see, nested will look a little more clumsy. Okay, so all the three programs are doing the same work. Oh, I have already done that over here. I have only accepted the input from the user, made it into an integer, and program it accordingly. Okay, but I hope all of you are getting clear up till this point. Now I'm going to give you complete 3 to 4 minutes. Please take your time and run off all these codes by assuming different numbers here according to the condition that I mentioned here. You see? Okay. Shutanu says, is there a case construct in Python? No, there is not. I'm talking of switch cases construct the way it is in C, C++ and Java. No, it is not. What are the best practice in Python for deep if-else branching is to use if-else-if ladder. Or we go in for Pythonic way of coding, where a Pythonic way of coding is very similar to, it's not exactly same, but it's very similar to ternary operator or conditional operator coding. Move ahead into the next program. Next program is very simple and nice, no? Makes sense to us. So it says write a program to check if an employee is eligible for an appraisal and hike or not based on their total work experience. Point number 1, based on their total work experience and experience in current organization. You see, and experience in current organization. Okay. So I notice, look at the flow here. So enter your work experience in current organization in months. So whatever work experience you are entering in the current organization in months will be accepted because the input is going to be accepted always as string. So I'm converting it into an integer and bringing it into this variable. Friends, if the current experience is greater than 12, that means more than 12 months, then he's eligible for appraisal and hike. What you're doing next is enter your work-ex before joining this organization in months. Now you'll say, okay, why I'll come to the else part. Exactly. So if the person has worked for less than 12 months, that means the person is just recently joined. So if will fail, I'll come to the else part. So I'm asking him, what has been your work-ex before joining this organization? Okay, maybe before joining your organization, his work-ex is, let's say, 3 years. So in months, it's going to be 36 months. So I will capture that into this variable. If 36 months is greater than 0, which is the case, then we would print appraisal and default hike. You see, we would print appraisal and default hike. Else, you print appraisal and no hike for freshers. So I think this makes sense. So if the person is working with your organization for a longer time, then obviously you would print this. Else, if the person is experienced in the previous organization, then he becomes a lateral hire, so you still give him a hike. But if the person is just simply a fresher, just joined, no past experience, obviously appraisal may happen, but no hike is going to happen. Okay, right? So I hope you are able to get this. Okay. Okay, these are some questions which I think we have already solved about. So don't take too much stress on this. Okay, now this is just next question. I will give you time of maybe 2 or 3 minutes to go through both of them. Then I'm going to get into some programming mode where I'm going to give you some use case which you have to program. Okay, let's have a look now. So friends, the idea is that if your billing amount is in this range, you get a 10% discount. In this range, get 20% discount, and about 20,000 get 25% discount. So first I'm going to ask the price of the product, check up the range. So I'm just trying to look at the AND operator, give you a 10% discount. Else in this range, give you 20% discount and give you this thing. The whole idea is I want you to modify this code because this code is incomplete. I am only saying you got 20% discount, but where am I giving you 20% discount? You get me? Where I'm giving you? I should give you 20% discount, right? So I have to print that 20% discount value. Print here 25% discount value, which I have not done. So I think you need to complete this print and this print statement. Right. So I want we should calculate our taxes. Okay. And the rule that we need to follow, we're not going to go literally, into the rule of our ITR, but we'll make the rules very simple. Okay. Now, the simplest format of calculating of our taxes could be, first of all, to know whether the person is salaried or business. Okay, that's the first thing which you should ask the user. So apart from calculating the taxes, I also want you to print his simplified, not very, very simplified, rather, simplified income tax returns, or maybe the tax payable. Okay. In case of less than 7 lakhs, there is no tax. That is good. So if it's between 7 lakhs to 10 lakhs, then it is 10%. But understand that if somebody is earning like 8 lakhs, so first 7 lakhs, there is no tax. Now, above 7 lakhs, it is going to be 8 minus 1. You see, it's going to be 8 minus 7. That is 1 lakh. So on 1 lakh, he's going to pay 10%. Am I right in understanding this, my class? Right? So if you're earning 8 lakhs, you're not going to pay 10% on the entire 8 lakhs. You're going to pay first 7 lakhs goes. So we put it this way. We put it this way for simplified. First 7 lakhs, there is no tax. Okay. Then above 7 lakhs to 10 lakhs, there is 10%. Which is incremental calculation, no? Right? It's incremental calculation. So next is 10 lakhs to 12 lakhs is actually 10 lakhs and 1 rupee is 10 lakhs and 1. So you understand, right? It's 20%. No, sorry, it's 15%. Okay. In a very similar way, if it is 12 lakhs and 1 to 15 lakhs, then it's 20%. And then lastly, if it's above 15 lakhs, you see, to what, infinity, correct? It's 30%, right? So I hope, friends, you are able to get this. So let's take an example. Let's take an example. If somebody is earning 13 lakh 15,000, how would you calculate his tax? You would say that, Rocky, for the first 7 lakh, it's free. So you will calculate it as 13 point so and so minus 7 lakhs, okay, is going to be equal to 6.5 lakhs. In that 6.5 lakhs, you see, in that 6.5 lakhs, you will calculate the first slab of 7 to 10. So you are going above. Point is, are you going above 7? Yes, you are going above 7. That is true. So in the first, for the first 3 lakhs, you are supposed to pay 3 lakhs means this range. The first 3 lakhs is supposed to pay 10%. Then above that, the next 2 lakhs is supposed to pay 15%. You see, and for the balance, 1.5 lakh is supposed to be 20%. Please correct me if I'm going wrong in my calculation. Is this the way it goes? Can somebody verify that, please? Right? Or not? Can somebody please verify this? Prabhu verifies it. Thank you. So for the second calculation, it's going to be the second 2 lakhs. It's going to be 15%. You see? Now question is, what is balance? So balance is 1.5 lakhs. So the last 1.5 lakhs, it's going to be 20%. You see? Correct? That's the way you're going to work and calculate. So this is not easy. So you need to build your logic very well. You'll say, Rocky, how it will make a difference whether you're salary or business? To be very honest, here I don't want to make things complex, but to be very frank, the calculation does differ for salaried versus business people. You see? So let's not get into confusions at this moment. But I'm accepting whether salaried or business person, because while printing the details that hello dear Mr. So and so, gender and age, type is salaried or business, your total tax payable amount is so and so, and it is calculated so and so. So show calculation also. When you print the whole taxes, you print the calculation also in a very formatted way. You print the calculation also, print the calculation also in a formatted way. Very easy to understand. Okay. So friends, can I ping this comment to all of you? Will that help? Okay. So let's see whether this program works correctly or not. That the peer has to review, but then let me scan the code according to the logic that is given. First, some inputs are being accepted, which were to be accepted, like name, gender, age, and salary. If the salary is less than 7 lakhs, no tax, as simple as that. But in case if your value of salary is more than 7 lakhs, assume it is 9 lakhs. So it's going to be 9 lakhs minus 7 lakhs. That's going to be taxable salary. It's going to be 2 lakhs here. Now start checking. Is your salary 2 lakhs less than 3 lakhs? Yes. So you will be only 10% taxes. But tomorrow, if your salary was, let's say, 11 lakhs, so it's going to be 11 minus 7, which is going to be your taxable salary. That's going to be 4 lakhs. So is 4 lakhs less than equal to 3 lakhs? No, it is not. So I come to the else if part. So is 4 lakhs greater than 3 lakhs? Yes. And less than 5 lakhs? Yes. So I'm going to have 15% on the taxable salary. Now here is something which I am not, convinced, because is it so, friends? If my salary is 7 lakhs, then all the amount which is above 7 lakhs, have I to pay, I repeat, have I to pay complete 15% on that 4 lakhs? Think about it, class. Think about it. Right? You're not to do that, right? So so the calculation would have gone that we should have taken 30,000 as is. I'll tell you, we should have taken 30,000 as is. So if the taxable income is, let's say, greater than 3 lakhs, so what we will do is we can subtract 3 lakhs from here and add 30,000 outrightly, because for the first 3 lakhs you are supposed to pay 10% slab, isn't it, Nagdeep? I'm trying to communicate this to you, Nagdeep. So your logic is very good, trust me. But I think this is something which we overlooked on. So we can do like this. Okay. And similarly, your logic will flow ahead also. Same logic will be coming here as well. So let's say that let's say somebody's salary is 12 lakhs. Just imagine it's 12 lakhs or maybe 11 and a half lakhs. Okay, so you'll come to this part. 11 and a half minus 7 is going to be 4 and a half. So is 4 and a half coming in this slab? No. Is 4 and a half coming here? Yes. This is going to work. But what if my salary was, let's say, something, and this amount is coming 5.5 lakhs? Now think about it. So in that case, 5.5 greater than 5, yes. Less than 8, yes. 20% of the whole amount? No, not 20% of the whole amount. You have to pay 20% on taxable value minus how much? Taxable value, how much minus? 20% minus 5 lakhs, if I'm not wrong. Okay, and what we can do is take this whole stuff. Friends, what we should add to this? Any idea what we should add to this? How much amount should we add to this? 30,000? No. 30,000 was added in the previous case, my friend. 30,000 is on the first 10%. Previous tax slab would be needing to recalculate. So what is the fixed? What is the absolute value? See, we're subtracting this. So I think we need to add 30. That is correct for the first 30. Then we need to add 20% of the balance. Sorry, 15% of the balance 2 lakhs. That's another 30,000. I think you're correct in saying that we need to add 60,000. Yep. So 60K needs to get added up. Similarly, if the taxable value is more than 8 lakhs, that is actually above 15 lakhs, then it is going to be 0.3 into taxable slab minus what? What should be the amount that I should be minusing from? It should be 8, right? And add to this, 60,000 is up till 12 lakhs. Then 20% of another 3 lakhs is another 30,000. So that is going to be 90. Okay, I'm doing a rough calculation. Huh? So I think this is the way it should be working. I'm just modified with minimal changes. Okay, let's say you're accepting the salary. That's the most important thing. Subtracting 7 lakhs from here. If salary now is equal to 0, no tax, exit. You leave the entire code. So tax value is 0 at the moment, correct? 10% block. Now, whatever salary amount is there, you subtract 3 lakhs from it. If salary greater than 0, okay, whatever was the old tax, if there was any, in this case, no, you take a 10% of it. Okay, then you're subtracting further 2 lakhs from it. You subtract 3 lakhs from it. Now, further 2 lakhs from here. And then further 3 lakhs, 10, 12 to 15. Cool. Let's run this and enter 11 lakhs. So tax is 45,000, then 1,25,000, and then further 5,000 for 11 lakhs. So what is the total tax liability? You know what is, by the way, using so many exits is not a good practice. Total is the first one. You mean to this one, 45,000. Yep. So in that case, our logic is also correct, right? We are also getting 45,000 and we are accumulating. You can please notice that. So that slab of 7 lakh to 10 lakh rupees has a 10%. Yep. So it is correct. So it is right. Prabhu is also confirmed. Right. So yeah, but don't use exit so often because exit is a very harsh statement to, exit the whole code. So avoid using exit. You see? Right. Anyway, so friends, let's move on. Save your work. This control S, save your work. Yeah, exactly. You could not break because you're not a part of a loop. So when you are only part of a loop, you can break and continue. So you should use if-else statements. So the idea is to use if-else statements more. Yeah, great. So let's move on, friends, on to module number 5. I have to share. Friends, there are situations where we have to iterate. Iterate in simple sense means repeat. So when we have to repeat something, In any programming language, we say we are creating loops. Every loop has to be controlled. It should not go infinite. It should be controlled. And for that, a loop will have a loop variable. It will have a condition for termination. And you and I as a programmer have to take care of updating the loop variable. Now, friends, there are two types of loops actually. There are more types, but right now, let's restrict ourselves to two types: a while loop and a for loop. These are most commonly used. In a while loop, we first check the condition and then execute all my statements inside the while block. And any statement which is coming like this is the statement which is outside the while block. So remember, all statements inside the while block are repetitive. That means they're going to keep running. Now, let's take a very simple example. I'm trying to find factorial. Friends, I know you will say, Rocky, why are you finding factorial? Factorial is a ready-made function in math. I know that, friends, but I'm just trying to put forth the logic of the while loop in front of you. So I'm asking the user to enter his choice of number. Initially, the variable fact in which I'm going to put the answer is 1, while number is greater than 0. So let's say the user enters a choice as 4. Is 4 greater than 0? Yes, it is. So I'm going to calculate. Initially, fact is 1, so it's going to be 1 into 4. And then the next time is going to be 4 into 3, because every time I'm reducing the number by 1. You see, number reduces by 1. So it's going to be first 4, then 4 into 3. That's 12. 12 into 2, 24. 24 into 1, so on and so forth. So that's the way it goes on. So if I just run this piece of code, it's running. Please wait. This logic can also be changed. And instead of going like 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, you could also go 1 into 2 into 3 into 4. You could do, instead of reverse logic, you can go forward logic also. You get me, right? Now, another very simple example: write a program to find sum of first n natural numbers. Again, very, very simple. So you are asking for user to enter a number. Okay, let's say 10. So till the value of num, which is at the moment 1, is less than equal to 10, I would take the sum plus num. So sum is 0, num is 1. I'm going adding. So first time is going to be 1 plus 1, then 2 plus 1, then 3 plus 2, so on and so forth. So in short, you're adding the whole sequence of numbers. Let's say I want to add up to 6 numbers. Okay, so it's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 up till 6 is 21. Okay, right. Now, friends, you will find for loop to be more convenient. So if you're a first time programmer, you will find for loop to be more convenient. And if you've been programming, then I'm 110% sure you know what a while loop is. You know what a do while loop is also. You also know what is a for loop. I'm not touching upon do while loop at the moment. That's not so necessary. So let's be using while loop and for loop. Now, in for loop, friends, syntax is very simple. The first variable in for loop is the for loop variable, which is like continuously going to change. And after the in keyword, which you see here, you will say, ah, Rocky, in is the membership operator. No, 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 it is not. Here, in is not the membership operator. Here, in is a part of the syntax of for. So for I in, whatever value you've written here, it could be a string, it could be a list, or it could be a collection. So it could be any data structure here in which you want to check whether this value is contained in this. So if I is in Python, so I'm not, this is not a membership operator. See, membership operator means I will check whether the value of I is in Python or not. No, I'm not doing that. So for I in Python means I'll pick up every character of the string one by one into I. So first time I will pick up P, next time I will pick up Y, next time I'm going to pick up T, so on and so forth. And thereby I will get the output the way you can see on my screen. Now, just to, the reason I was insisting that I want to get into this notebook is because please have a look when you make a collection of data members in such square brackets. In other languages, this may look like an array, but in Python, this is not an array. This is a list. So we say this is a list of elements. You say, Rocky, how can between the numbers you bring in a string? Yeah, the beauty is list is a heterogeneous collection of elements. So I can have few integers, I can have a string, I can also have a floating point number. There is no problem. Please appreciate, there is no problem. You see, so you can have a collection, you get me? I can have a collection of different types of data members. And what I see here is what you see here on my screen. So one by one, every element was picked up, brought into I, and you got the answer. Okay, friends, you with me on this, right? You're with me. Now, this is one format of the for loop which you are being seen. But many times we may not have a collection ready-made, right? We have to make the collection at runtime. You can do that. So for I in range 1,6, range has two parameters, start and stop. It will start from whatever you say, but it will stop at one less. So 6 minus 1, it will stop at 5. So you're going from 1, you're stopping at 5. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No wonder this for loop is going to run and the value of I will vary from 1 to 5. If you see this in the first case, you will see output going 1 to 5. So if I say range 6, you'll say, Rocky, why is not starting with 1? That's because, friends, in range, if you only give me one number, then this means the end number. I will end at this point, but I will by default start from 0. So I'm starting from 0 and going up till 5. You see, going up till 5. Because this is the rule. Whatever end index you give me, I will go one less than that, my friends. Always remember, whatever end index you give me, I will go one less than that. Okay, right? That's the rule. So another example of factorial over here, but the only difference is instead of the while loop, we are using the for loop for coding it. Okay. Now I would like to request all of you to run all your codes up till this point. It should not take you more than 4 or 5 minutes. And also try your level best to code this. Write a program to, find the sum of first and natural numbers using for loop. Okay, because up we did with the while loop, you can use the same logic, friends, and replace the loop by the for loop. So we go slow and steady to the next. So friends, what happens now is when I'm using a while loop versus a for loop, very honestly, both are doing a good job for you. But personally, I believe that most of you may feel that for loop is more easier to code because you have not to bother about the incrementing or updation of the for variable. You see, but in the case of a while loop, you have to bother. Okay, now have a look at this piece of code. In the first code, my range function is saying I would like to move from 10 to 99. Is going to check every number 10, 11, 12, so on and so forth up till 99. While you see, while if I look at this case here, this is the range function in which you have a start value, you have a stop value, you also have a step value. This is another form of range function. So there are many forms of range function. One form, you only give me the end value. Other form, you give me start and end. Other form, the third form is you give me start, stop, and step. In this case, I'm starting with 10, stopping at 99 minus 1, that is 98, and stepping every time by 2. So my values are going to be like 10, 12, 14, up till 98. While if I look at this here, 11, 99, 2, then you are starting with 11 and you jump in with all odd numbers like 11, 13, 15, so on and so forth. Okay. So let's have a look, right? You say, Rocky, what are these answers? These answers are summation, no? You have summed up. What you're doing exactly is that you're finding all the even numbers like 10, 12, 14, 16, and you're summing them up. As simple as that. Okay. This is a shortcut if notation where I am not, bothered about indenting and taking it to the next line. I'm just putting the single statement after the if block. I'm putting the single statement after the if block. You get me, right? Everyone? Okay. Now, look at this. This is another simple code. I'm asking for an input from the user. You see, whatever user gives me an input, maybe your name. You're running a for loop over your name to find the index position of your name. So let's say that your name is Prabhu. So you enter this. Yep. So we get the index of P is 0, index of A is 1, so on and so forth. So what usually is done is, if you're using format printing, then you would write an F over here, you see, and thereby skip writing the word called format. You see, you with me right on this, and this whole thing will come in double quotes here. So this is one way of doing it, or one way of looking into it. But the whole idea is, when you have many placeholders, then people prefer to be very specific and make things more readable. They write format x comma I. So the value x will go into the placeholder 0 and the value of I will go into the placeholder 1. But this is an equivalent way of doing it, which you've already learned. Okay, great. So friends, I am believing most of you have finished up till this point. Can I talk about break and continue? I need your permission, friends. Can I talk about break and continue? Yes, perfect. Thank you. This is the last thing and most important thing which I wanted you to take away today. Friends, whenever you are in a loop, there can be a situation that you may not run the loop completely. So let's say that I'm having a loop which is having a range of 10, but I don't want to run the loop completely. So I can have an if condition. If this if condition goes true, my loop will break. Have a look. See, if the break condition was not there, this loop would have printed values going up till 9, 0 to 9, but it broke at 5 because after printing 5, we check, is it 5? Yes, I break. But you will say, right, Rocky, what is the deal of you breaking? Now, think in a more wider way. Suppose you are accepting multiple inputs from the user and you want to break when you find a particular name or a particular ID. You see, so you're accepting inputs and you will break when you find a particular ID or a particular name. That's it. That's the idea. You see, I spoke about nested if else, right? In the same way, you also have nested loops. So one loop can get nested in the other. So this is called as the outermost loop. This is the outer loop and this is the innermost loop. So the whole idea is, if I do not put this break statement, then this high all would have got printed for 4 into 3 into 2. 4 into 3 into 2, that is 24 times. You see, so that's the way the loop would actually break. Right. So I hope you got this. Now, continue further. So what I notice now is the continue statement, where in the continue statement, what I have is, I have a for loop for I in range. If I is equal to 4, I say continue. What does it mean? Friends, break is very evident that you're going to break out of the loop. But continue is not so evident. Continue basically means that I will skip every line of code which is after me. So When the value of I is 4, I will not print it. Please notice, I'll get every output except 4 in the output. 0, 1, 2, 3. Where is 4? 4 has got skipped. Then comes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You see? So fundamentally, what I'm going to tell you, friends, is whenever continue executes, the step after it is skipped. Whenever continue executes, the step after it is skipped. Okay, right. Now, let's have a very simple code example here. Let's say I'm trying to find all characters, not numbers, only characters in this alphanumeric sequence. So for loop is going to pick up every character, first one, then two, then three, then A, then L, so on and so forth. But if the character in I is any one of the numeric digits, I say continue. Continue means I will not print. But if I read A, then I'm sorry to say A is not in this sequence, right? A is not in this sequence. Therefore, you will print it. So let's have a look. Yep, this makes sense. So from an alphanumeric sequence, I could pick up and find all the characters. Correct? That's the application of continue. This, I think, should not be difficult for anyone. I am accepting some choice from the user. Could be 10, could be 20, could be 30, whatever user wants to enter. And while true is the way you run an infinite loop. This is very interesting. I'm running an infinite while loop. So when I run an infinite while loop, my friends, I'm trying to check, is the number initially 0? Is it even? Answer is yes. 0 is of course even. Then would come 1, then would come 2, so on and so forth. So let's say the first number is 0, it's even, I'll print it. I increment the count, I increment the number as well. If count is equal to choice, if I enter choice as 6, so I want 6 numbers in the output. Till I don't get 6, I will go on finding numbers, but I will only print even numbers, no odd numbers. You see, so this is another good example of an infinite loop. You see, let me explain to you on my whiteboard of why I would actually make a class. Let me ask you this very basic question. I'm showing you something on my screen. Let me show you something like an ice crate. You see, ice crate. Just ice cubes, sorry. Now, my friends, I wish to ask you one very small question. May I know from all of you, what you see on my screen is of course, ice cube tray, which you can see here. My question to you is, can this ice cube tray be used only once to make a ice cube, or can it be used for n number of times? Your answer, please. 1 or n? Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good, everyone. It can be used for n number of times. So it can be used for multiple times. It's a reusable product. Correct. This is exactly what I mean to say when I say you about the word called class. So this ice cube tray actually is a class, and we can use it for n number of times to make cubes. The cube is actually the object. You see, so the cube is an object which is being made out of this class. So the whole idea is, once we know the characteristics of something, you see, what we do is that we define it once and for all. Okay, and later on we go ahead instantiating it. We go ahead instantiating it to make an object. You see, we go instantiating it to make an object. You see, right? So the whole idea is very simple. You see, the whole idea is very, very simple, that once, let's put it this way. See, all things around us, my friend, all things around us, you, me, our laptop, a glass of water beside us, a mobile phone, all have attributes. They have characteristics. Let's think about, maybe a car. So a car probably would have a characteristic like number of seats, the model number of the car, the engine capacity, Okay, the type of the car and a few more. These are all attributes of the car. Every car will have it. You see, and there are only methods of the car. Example, change gear. Okay, then accelerate the car, brake the car. Okay, that is stop the car. Okay, and then maybe some more things which you can do with the car. Okay, so these are all methods. These are all functions. These are all things how will you use a car? You see, the car's color is not what you're going to use. You can use the car for driving. You can use the car to reach to a place. You can use the car to pick up somebody and drop somebody. So those things are my methods or functions on how I'm going to use my car or how the world will use the car. And these are attributes which are static. So this set is static, you see, and they will have values. So example, the model of the car. So I put a model and then you put the model name over here. Now this part over here, friends, becomes attributes. So we say this is the attributes of the car class. And this here is the methods of the car class. Okay. So this is the methods and this is the attributes. Now, once you have the class in place, you go ahead instantiating n number of objects. You see, you go on instantiating n number of objects of my class. You see, you go and instant n number of objects of my class. Now, because you're instantiating n number of objects of the respective class, that means once a class is defined, I can make objects. You said, okay, why making an object? The reason is I have a class over here, but all of us have different cars. You see, so I have a different car. My friend Sanjeev has a different car. My friend Nazrul has a different car, and probably my friend Prabhu has a different car. But ultimately, all our cars have the same attributes, have the same functionalities. You see, so you make objects of it. So that's the whole idea. Now, how do we do it in Python? Well, in Python, we do like this. We write the keyword called class and give a name to our class. That's it. In this class, this is an empty class. This is no use. This is an empty class, to be very honest. So when you want to make an empty class, you need to write the word called pass. Example, suppose you and me are playing a game of cards, and you're not taking your turn. What will you say? You'll say, Rocky, pass. Pass means you're passing your turn to the next person. So you didn't take your turn. Same way. Class demo has no internal body, and therefore we say the word pass. Okay. Object is equal to demo, which fundamentally means that you are creating an object of the class. This is the way you make an object. And if you print an object, let me show you. First, I make an object, then I print an object. And if you want to know information about the object, you can say help. Although this is not really helpful, to be honest. Okay, not really helpful. Hence, I'm saying this takes you too much in detail, not much helpful. So print object shows that this demo is an object and it is stored at so and so memory location on your computer. Remember, this location is going to be different for all of us. Now, I spoke about attributes, right? Have a look, please. So I'm making a class over here and I'm trying to hold some information about your, let's say, health card. So let's say I have a class called health card, like Aadhaar card, similarly health card, which is issued by health companies to us. So I make a class called health card. I hope that health card should have minimum this information about each one, about the name of the person, about the age, about the location. And with respect to the health card, I can only know your information. So using it, I can only print your individual information. Now, let's have a look of what am I doing. Now, just imagine this. Suppose, my friends, okay, I put my details. Obviously, you can verify, sorry, you can alter these details later on when you're going to run your code. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a class, then I'm instantiating an object of the class. So h1 is my object and I say print info. I'm calling the method print info. It's going to print these personal details which are there inside the card. Imagine the card is digital. And when you swap the card, you get the details. So you got these details. Now, let me explain to you from theoretical perspective of what all is seen on my screen. Friends, what happens now in the class health card or any class, when you want to make attributes, you can define those attributes inside a constructor. A method which starts like this, underscore underscore init underscore underscore, is a very special method in Python, and it is used only inside a class, and it is called as an initializer or a constructor. It is called as a constructor, okay, or initializer. Although we don't use the word initializer that much, we use the word constructor, okay. So this is called as a constructor or initializer. Now, having said that we are having a constructor or initializer, please have a look. And in this case, I have name, age, and location, which you can see here. And you can see that I printed it here. So you said, okay, how to get the information? Exactly. So when I write the name of the class and I pass some information, those information goes in these variables. I know you will probably, who's the self here? I will come to it. This is a little complex, so give it a little time. I'll come and talk about self a little later, not right now. So whatever data you pass here will go in these three variables. Please leave self aside. And these values get assigned over here. And this is exactly what I'm printing here. Okay. I repeat once again, please leave the self for rest for some time. In the next 15-20 minutes, you will be very clear of what self is. I'm requesting everyone to go ahead, putting comments, like I'm putting comments here that this is a constructor or initializer. In this case, you are making a object. You see, you're making a object, right? And in this case, you are calling method of the object. Okay, right? So I hope you have got this. Very simple and very clear. So friends, can I request you to please run all your codes up till this point? You may have doubts, but I would request you to please have little patience on the doubts, because there are a lot of things which I have to build up. You see, once I built up on those things, most of your doubts will automatically be cleared. If not, I'm here to clear them. Be rest assured. Okay. I'm revisiting the same class called health card. Okay, I'm modifying it because I see health will have many more parameters, right? So health card seems to be a more appropriate name. Okay, so my init here is my constructor, to which I have got three parameters. You see, so whatever number of parameters you give me here, my friends, in the constructor, please remember that many number of parameters you are supposed to pass me. You get me? That many number of parameters are supposed to pass me. You see, so you need to pass me all those values. So if I've got three values there, you need to pass me all the three values here. You cannot just, kind of leave, uh, you cannot say that, okay, Rocky, I've got 3 here, I'll pass 2. No. Or I've got 3 here and I pass 4. No, once again, as many here, you have to pass that many. Okay. Now you can notice that I have assigned name, age, and location. And here, and this is a tricky part here. Friends, what happens now? There are two types of attributes that we can make inside a class. One are called attributes which are going to be starting with a word called self. And those attributes which start with a word called self are actually called as object attributes. Okay, or object variables. They are attributes which are going to be in every object, be it a name, be it age, be it location, or be it counter. Be it a name, age, and location. Three of them, because they start with a word called self. They're all object attributes. But attributes which do not start with a word called self, instead they start with a name called class, are called class attributes. Now, what is the difference? When difference diagrammatically, in a very simple schematic way, the difference is this. Suppose if I have a class attribute, then I'm going to put this value over here, and all object attributes, I'll put 3 dots. Now, what happens now, friends? Let's say if I make 2 objects of this particular class. In both of these objects, you can assign value to the object attributes. You see, you can assign values to the object attributes. Okay, but not to the class attribute. Class attribute is going to be common. Class attribute is going to be common to all the objects. You see, if you want to change it, you can change it at the class level. But moment you change it here, it is going to be the same change will be seen by each of the objects. I'll give you one very simple example. Suppose you are a owner of one of the vehicles. Let's say you're an owner of Audi Q3. So Audi Q3 is the type of the vehicle which I put at the class attribute level. But who is the owner? The person's name will come here. What is the type of the color? It is your choice. You have taken some particular color type, which could be different from me, different from Akash, different from somebody else. So our name, our registration number, the color of the car, or cars have a lot of variations, no, lower model, mid model, higher model, kind of, no. So what you have taken is here, but what you have taken is Audi Q3. So let's respect that fact. So let's say 10 people have taken Audi Q3. So Audi is my class attribute, but internal details of the owner, registration number, registered which state, which city will be different, no? So those are going to be my object attributes, and the name of the class, you get me, will be on the so-called top over here as the class attribute. Okay, that's the difference between class attribute and the object attribute. So class attribute remains firm for the class, and every object will be able to see the same value. So you'll say, okay, Rocky, you're trying to tell me that you're having one attribute called counter here. So as many times you call the constructor, counter increments by 1, correct? So you are keeping a count. In short, you are keeping a count of how many people have taken the health card. Just to give you an example, I have made one object of health card here with my details. I print my details. Then I make a health card for some other person, you see, and I print his details. You will please notice carefully that the number of objects now is 2. Wow. So as many more people go on purchasing the health card from the insurance company can keep a track of how many people have yet till date purchased their health plans or health cards, and I see the number of objects going on incrementing. It was 1 year, my friends. See this. Now it is 2. Right. I hope you're able to understand the essence of class attributes, that it remains at the level of a class and not goes to the level of the object. And one more essence what I felt personally is that, okay, Rocky, I see that class attribute is always accessed by a class name, and object attributes are usually accessed by, not usually, always accessed by the self attribute. Now I'll tell you what self means. Friends, when you make an object over here, you see, you are assigning this object to a variable called object1, isn't it? And thereby when object1 calls print info, I wish to ask you, when object1 is calling print info, why details of Rocky are getting printed? And when print info is being called by object2, why details of Dave is going to get printed? We'll say, okay, it is simple, because object2 holds details of Dave, correct. Object1 holds details of Rocky, that is also correct. But how does name know? How does age know? How does location know that it has to print details of Rocky or Mr. Dave? How? Exactly. That is where self comes in the picture. So whoever calls the function print info, the reference of that object goes into the variable called self. Hence, you will always notice whenever I use a constructor or use any method in Python inside a class, first attribute of the method or the first parameter of the method will always be self. Because when I call print info by object1, object1's reference internally by Python is passed into self. No wonder it is object1.name, object1.age getting printed. So I get the correct details of Rocky. Here I get correct details of Mr. Dave. You're with me? Friends, are you all with me? Yep, great. So this is something which you can do on your own. This is so simple and straightforward. This is like object1 accessing name and age, object2 accessing name and age, and object1, object2 counters are being printed. Remember, both will be 2. You say, no, Rocky, a counter of object1 will be 1. No, Counter is one single universal variable, my friend. It's a global variable. How can it has two different values for each object? By the way, counter does not come to the object only. Counter is stored in the class. And therefore, each of the variables, as you can see, are going to hold values, which you're seeing here. You see, right? So up till this point, I don't see there should be any trouble. You have done some operator called is operator last time. I wish to tell you what is in case you've forgotten, no worries. Okay, is means basically you're trying to check that is the name of the person in object one same as the name of the person in object two. If it is same, it's going to give you true. And if it is not the same, it's going to give you false because the names are different in both. Hence, I see it's giving false. Counter is same, no? You say, Rocky, use equality operator. Another way of doing it. Instead of using equality operator, you have one operator called is. Let's accept it. What is the big deal? Another thing to do. You see? So I hope this is getting clear. Up till this point, I wish to give you about 3 to 4 minutes to run and put comments from your side. So for is operator, and for some reasons, you may have to use ChatGPT or OpenAI also, OpenAI ChatGPT or maybe Google, just to get some quick sentences which you can copy paste here. Like example, what is operator in Python? So if you don't want to type, you can pick it up from Google and that's it, paste it here. Cool on that, right? So please do that. Right, so friends, now we are moving a bit ahead on to understanding of what we're going to do next. We're looking at excess modifiers now. Things go a little more complex, you see. So friends, now quick questions I'm going to ask you. Please do answer them. Notice that I have accepted 3 values from my user. Okay, values are name, father's name, and age. All 3 values have been assigned. There is a class attribute which has also been incremented. And I'm trying to derive the roll number and the file number. Whenever you are going to give any variables, these kinds of symbols, a single underscore and a double underscore, you are actually making them as private variables. You see, that means you're not going to allow these variables to be openly accessed outside. They have private access specifiers. I cannot go too much in details because the time is very limited and this notebook is too long. But one thing you can understand is something which is personal to you and just you. Example, your wallet. That is not shared by everyone at home. That is your wallet. So you only going to use it, right? It's your watch, only you're going to use it. But what about the fridge and the sofa set at home? Is it only yours? No, everyone uses it. So the fridge and sofa set, yes, it is yours, but then everybody, the whole family uses it. So it is something which is usable by everyone. Okay. So the whole idea is that you can mark a variable as private and reserved within the class by marking it as underscore and double underscore. Okay, so no need to worry about any kind of coding here. This is just like, I'm just trying to pick up the first 3 characters of your name. Okay, and the student counter variable. If the first student, the counter variable will be 1. For second, counter variable will be 2, so on and so forth, right? And the name of your student's file is going to be upper 3 characters, upper characters full, your full name in upper characters, and a counter number attached to it. Just to show you this in running. Okay, let's have a look at this example for simple understanding. All right, so you can notice that you say, Rocky, how did you get onto A2202? Yep, to tell you that's over here. Okay, this is academic year 25, so I should make this 25. So academic year 2025. Okay, then this first placeholder is going to hold this much part. The second placeholder is going to hold this much part. So in the second placeholder, I'm saying that I want a number to come as 0, 0. Okay. 3D means I will maximum accept 3 integer digits. That means our file number will go to maximum 999. I'll not pick up any number beyond 999. Okay. So the whole idea here is, okay, now how does this John come up? JOH, because I took the first three characters of the name you see in uppercase. Okay, next case, why the whole John Davis came is because we said we want the whole name in the uppercase, right? And further the counter variable, which you can see here, right? 001. Okay, so I hope this is getting simple and clear. Don't take too much of stress about this formatting part. That's just done for, kind of good looks. Idea is that you're trying to make some variables. Usually beginner programmers are not supposed to do all that stuff. So you haven't to really worry. Most of the times you're going to work is in this space, but at least be aware that if you wish to make variables, which is going to be completely private and usable only inside the class or through its methods, then you can make such variables by using double underscore or a single underscore. Okay, right. Now I have another function over here called display, but now I'm entering into a territory in which I wish to talk about something called as inheritance. Friends, all of us take qualities from our parents, right? And we call that term as inheritance. So I may inherit looks, skin color, body frame from my parents, right? So inheritance happens in all object oriented programming like this. I make a class called science because a science student should also have the same qualities as a generic student. So I straight say class science is inheriting attributes of a student. So what all student has, all things will come to science. Now, when I try to have a look, when I try to make this class, you will say, Rocky, this class science is having a display function. Okay. And you're trying to print all this, but where have you defined name, father's name, and age? Exactly. So I have not defined name, father's name, and age. They have come to me from student. You see, I have not defined roll number and file number. They have come to me from student. Now I would like to create an object of student and I like to say print info. Please notice. Oh, I should have redefined this, right? Because we changed it to 2025, no? Yep, so academic year 2025. All details in place. Now this is print info, huh? Don't feel confused. I've called print info. So print info is the inherited method. I've got this function from my parent. Inherited means I've got from my parent. But this function is my own function. Who says that? The science student says that. You see, this is the function. This is, so I'll put it in more simpler words. This is the science student function. This is a function which belongs to science student. That means it is not coming from student. It is not inherited. It is not inherited. It's very important to note it down. Okay, let me run this code and see what it gives me. Oh, wow, it gave me an output which says that there is an error. Now, what is the error looking like? See this, it printed name, father's name, age, and roll number. It gave you error at what point? It gave you error at the point where you tried to print. Roll number is all okay. But moment you went on to this variable, he says, I'm sorry, I don't have this variable. Science object has no attribute underscore underscore file number. Why? Because underscore underscore will make the variable private. Single underscore, no problem. Double underscore makes the variable private. So I go up here. This is private variable, my friend. This can only be used by an object of student. Nobody else can use it. If you try to use it, you're going to get an error. So let me cut this from here and mark it private up at the point where it was defined. Private. So when you say private, that means only you can use it. Only the owner can use it. Who is the owner? Student is the owner. Only student can use. Student cannot inherit it. If you want to inherit, that means you want to make variables which are type protected. That means inheritable. Then you can go in for this type of variables which are having protected, which means inheritable, which, sorry, oh, it's coming in my prompt. Hold on, hold on. What's up? What's wrong? Focus is not changing. Which means it's inheritable. You see, right? So this was single underscore inheritable. Double underscore is private, not inheritable, not inheritable. You see, these are some rules, friends, of Python. So I'm so sorry if you feel that Rocky underscore underscore is not very intuitive, that is private. Like in Java or in C++, we literally write private. I appreciate that, friends, but we need to respect the grammar of every language, right? And quickly adopt it and move further. So, yep. So I would request you to run these codes, and even you should get this error the way I got the error for the private variable, please. And you can click on explain error. It'll explain you also. So there is no need even to you type too many things. You can explain error, you'll get the whole answer. You can copy paste the whole answer here as a comment, right? You can be smart in doing that. Okay. Mohammed, there's a question coming in. If science class also has its own constructor, then how to access the science class attributes? So the whole idea here, Mohammed, is that the constructor which I have defined in the class student does not goes down. Please understand, I'm not pushing the constructor. Constructor doesn't get inherited. You see, so when you say class science is extending or inheriting properties of class student, then automatically first the student object gets created and is assigned to the science. Therefore, I'm able to use these attributes. And what you're trying to ask is, if I were to make my own constructor in class science, then how I'm going to call the constructor for student? That is a more common practice in Java. It is not a common practice in Python to do so. Okay, but although we can, but that's not a common practice. You're talking of super usage of the variables where the child class calls the constructor of the parent. That's a good thing to do in C++ and Java. That's the bad practice here in Python. So avoid doing it. There is a way of doing it, but that's I would not I would request you don't do it, because that's not a good practice here. You see, yeah, we don't do that in Python coding. We don't call the constructor of the super classes. You see, so if you learn that and do it, it will look very unprofessional if you program that way to other Python programmers. But the point is that if I simply answer to yes, and then if I show back to in programming, this notebook is going to become impossible to cover up. You see, so I think you probably need to have a different forum where we are learning data structures or learning advanced Python programming to get into that forum, not for Python fundamentals. You see, I'm anyway going one step ahead, little beyond Python fundamentals, because I believe that the batch should know this. You see, so if you're trying to ask questions because you have experience in some other programming language, then I don't think so that's going to help the batch at an overall. Why? Because some of them don't have any programming experience also. You see, so we need to go at the common page. We have to think of everyone in the batch. Right. So friends, let's move on ahead with respect to inheritance. Now, formally, I'm looking at inheritance. I gave you some examples of inheritance. Now I'm formally getting into a small breakup of it. Okay, let's have a look. Friends, we know one thing of inheritance is there must be a parent class, you see, and from the parent, the child inherits. Now, the best part is when a child is inheriting from the parent, you need to do nothing, right? You say class child and write the name of the parent, like we did class science inheriting from student. At the moment, my class child has nothing of his own. Everything what he has come from his parent. Therefore, you see, everything what he has come from his parent. And therefore, please notice, I am printing this line. Why did this line get printed? Because, my friends, moment you make an object of a class, no, by default, you call constructor. You see, you call the constructor. And who is a constructor? This fellow. Init is my constructor, isn't it? You call the constructor, that is the init function. See, I may use the word function and method interchangeably. because I have done a lot of work in Java. So Java, we have the culture of speaking methods, but from last 6, 7 years, doing a lot of work in Python. So you may find that Rocky has a slip of tongue at times. He uses the word method, uses the word function, but I intend to mean the same thing. Method or function, I intend to mean the same thing. Okay, don't get me wrong. So I'm calling the constructor that is init function. Okay. Further, friends, please notice that using my child object, I'm calling a function over here. You will say, okay, from where this function come? This function come from the parent? No. Parent is given his function. Remember, parent, no function, no class will give my constructor. Constructor is whole and soul. I'll put this comment here. Constructor only for self means only for yourself. You say, I told you your wallet example, your wallet, your shoes, only for yourself. You will not share it with your homemakes. You see, no. Your wallet, your clothes, your shoes, only for you. But other things, car keys, car, fridge, sofa set, everybody, whole family uses. That's okay. Fine. So this is like yours, but everybody in the family uses. This is only you and you. Nobody else will use. Only for self, not inherited. So remember this rule. It is great if you can jot it down. Constructor is never inherited. Never. Okay. Now I'm coming to question like types of inheritances. So we need to understand that, friends, there are different types of inheritances. I like to show you some diagram before I move further. I'm looking for a diagram is a little more clearer. Okay. All diagrams are very small. They're so tiny. Okay, let me see. Is this clearly visible? Hope so. Okay, so this is a single inheritance, friends, where I have got one single parent and a single child. This is multi-level inheritance. You see, multi-level inheritance, where I see class C is extending B and B is extending A. So this is a multi-level inheritance. You see, what I see here is a hierarchical inheritance where I have got only one parent and there are two children. So there can be what two? There can be n number of children. So n children's inheriting from one parent class. That's okay, no? Right? So let's say I have got a generic class called banking rules made by RBI, whether it's SBI Bank, whether it's ICICI Bank, or whether it's HDFC Bank. My friend, no bank has an option. They all have to inherit the RBI banking rules class. You see, they don't have an option. So there can be n number of banks, all of them inheriting the same protocol of the same class, isn't it? Right? How can I give an example of multi-level inheritance? Imagine this is a class called student. Okay. This is a class called engineering student. Fine. And this is a class called electrical engineering student. So I have got electrical engineering student who inherits properties from overall class called engineering students, and engineering students will naturally have characteristics like any other student. Student may be of science, commerce, arts, but student is a student. So they will have some certain characteristics. So that's the way we specialize. And this is a case where one of you were asking me that, Rocky, how will my class C inherit from class A and class B? Trust me, in Python, it's a cakewalk. It's very simple. You just write the class. Let's say the class is a multi-printer. It's a multi-printer and multi-printer class or a combo printer, and the combo printer class is inheriting properties from a scanner as well as from a printer. Okay, so I have a class called copier. Let's say a class called copier. So my class called copier is inheriting from two classes, A and B, where A could be scanner and B could be printer. Right? You get me on this? So with that point understood, let me not close this, but let me move here. So this is a simple case of single inheritance where this is my base class, which holds information like name, age, gender. And this is the class called learners, you and me, friends. And all of us are inheriting information. Because we're inheriting information, automatically you and I have got three attributes: name, age, and gender. Okay. Over and above that, I repeat, over and above that, every learner may have some experience, okay, and will definitely have some qualifications. You'll say, okay, what are the none stuff here? Friends, in my function called set learner data, I have actually gone ahead giving a default value to experience and a default value to qualification. This is a nice way of doing things, because if you don't want every learner to specify his experience or his qualification, you want to keep it, let's say, you know, hidden, uh, then you can keep these parameters as default value as none. So if you don't pass me any experience or a qualification, I'll hold it as null. I'll hold it as none and keep it. And the further is a function called display, where I'm displaying these details. So let's see this now, how this works. So first I make object of learners, and in learners, I'm only passing three attributes. Notice I didn't pass anything for experience and qualification. You see, when I say print info, I will get details for John Davis. But now what I'm doing is I am calling set learner data. And you would notice now if I call display, I will be able to display all the five details. How that happened, friends? Please notice now, I've called my print info function. Where is print info? Print info is with my parent. It has come from my parent. This print info is there in the class, but you can't see it. It has come from the parent. No, print info has come from information into learners. You see? So therefore I'm able to call it. Now, one of you may feel it, Rocky, how about you making a constructor over here? No problem. But the problem that is going to happen, no, if I make a constructor over here, then I have to do two things. Two things I have to do. First, I'll have to get five values, three values of this and two values of this. The three values of this which I'm getting, I'll have to pass it to my parent. Now that programming style is not bad, but that programming style is old. It is an older style which C++ and Java programmers follow. Python programmers in the modern days don't follow that style, because Python says that moment I make an object of learner by the rule of inheritance, how can a child be created without the parent? I'm asking you in terms of nature. How can you and I exist without our parents? So our parent has been created before by God, therefore we have come, right, into it by rule of nature. So when I make an object of learners, automatically the Python compiler makes an internally, the Python virtual machine internally makes an object of information. So you really haven't to worry about it. You see? So notice when I made an object of learner, I passed these parameters. Automatically, these parameters were transferred by learners to the constructor of information. So there is no need to think in that C++ and Java style, where we use super call to make a call to our parent constructor. So you don't need that stuff actually here. You see, right? Because it automatically happens. Hence, we don't code in that style where we coded in C++ or Java, right? I hope you're able to appreciate what I'm trying to bring to you. Right? So friends, I want everyone to actually scrutinize up till this point, put your own comments and run up till this point. Please change the details to yourself. The same concept of single inheritance is going to get extended in multi-level inheritance. I say this is grandfather, father, son concept. You see, this is grandfather, father, and son concept. Why? Because this fellow is the grandfather, information, where I have name, age, and gender. Okay, so print info is a function of my grandfather. So I just put over here grandfather, easy to remember. No, in human sense, it is easy to remember this, right? And then this fellow is the father over here, because he is inheriting from information. Okay. Now I notice one thing, that this programming is same as the above. Exactly. Why will I change? I'll keep it same, no? And this fellow over here is the child or the son. You see, this fellow here is a child or the son. So if you think that you want to keep the child, you want to code nothing new in it, but whenever, now look at this piece of code. Whenever I make a class of, profile, who is my child to the father, okay, or maybe you can say son or daughter, whatever you wish to, then this constructor over here, please notice, is calling. This is a constructor here. See, instead of, if I leave it pass, this is invariably happening. Please understand, even if I write pass, do nothing, this is invariably happening by default in Python. But if you wish to see it or what is happening, please have a look what is happening. So in the constructor of profile, you will say, Rocky, why are you, asking me for name, age, and gender? Friends, I am not asking for name, age, and gender. Name, age, and gender is asked by one of the senior classes of profile. Maybe learners, maybe information. So if you go on backtracking, you will see, yeah, it is asked in information. Exactly. The grandfather is asking the son that, see, I need name, age, and gender. So please notice what happens carefully. Learners is my parent. I'm calling the constructor of, you get me? I'm calling the constructor of the parent, which is learners, and I'm passing him these three values. But now you'll get confused. You'll say, Rocky, come on, where does learners has a constructor? Friends, if you do not code a constructor, that doesn't mean it is not there. It is there by default, and the constructor of learners is doing nothing. It is doing nothing. It is simply calling the constructor of the parent. Please appreciate it. It happens by default. So you haven't to literally sit back and code. Okay. Suppose, see what I'm trying to tell you, my friends, is that if I were to code underscore init here, I haven't to really do any hard work. If I code this or I don't code this, it is invariably there. Moment you wrote class learners is inheriting from information. If you think, no, Rocky, I want this to be there, keep it. I am nobody to stop you. Keep it. So I was talking about super making call. So this is what is happening. So the constructor of learners is doing nothing. He is saying that if you pass me these three parameters, I will do nothing except for the fact that I will call my parent, super means my parent, and call its constructor. Simple as that, right? And you can get this by, your help, or you can, sit back and type from my screen if you wish to, but that's not necessary. Please trust me. There is no difference in functionalities. Now, okay, now what I'm doing next, please notice, I am, wait, hold on. Let me run the codes, no? What does pass mean? That means I have nothing more. That's why I written pass here. Okay. So what you see here is I called profile. Okay, and I pass three parameters here. So these three parameters are taken by this fellow. They go to learners. Learners is in the passing game, nothing big. Learners takes it and passes it to the parent, that is to the information over here. See, in Java, this style of programming is compulsory, but not in Python. So Python, if you skip all this stuff, it's okay. He understands that this is invariably there. Okay. The further is print info. We print the details. Set learner data will set more data, which I can display as you can see here. Okay, right? Shutano has a question coming in. Is there any field hiding concept in Python? Yes, by keeping underscore. So when you're declaring variables in self, Shutano, you can keep underscore, but usually not much used unless you're doing something which really needs the functionality of a private variable. Otherwise, not much. Right. So friends, at the moment, I think we have done up till this point. Let us move ahead with hierarchical inheritance. Now, what does hierarchical inheritance mean? It means you're creating a hierarchy where there is one superior, one boss, and there are many subordinates. So there is one super or one parent class inherited by many subclasses or many child classes, right? So let's see this. Friends, I have got a class called information, which I'm taking it as the father class or the base class. Okay. What I have here is the class called learners, who are inheriting property from information. I've got another class called trainer, who is also inheriting properties from information. Because ultimately, learners, that is all of you, also have a name, age, and gender. Me also, no? I also, the trainer, have the same attributes, name, age, and gender. So both of us can inherit the same class. But although there are more attributes or a different attribute for learner data, which I'm trying to set through a function. Instead of using a constructor, I'm trying to set this. For trainer, also I'm trying to set this. You see, so let me run with the three things. I'm not adding the constructor here because now you have understood the trick of constructors. You've understood that Python virtual machine, which is an internal thing to Python, does the work of calling the constructor automatically. So you haven't to really do anything, even not thinking of the fact that I need to add constructors. And the best part is that Python does it the most efficiently, more than what you and I can think of doing. You see? So what we're doing here is I'm making object of learners. I am setting its data. Then I'm printing an information. You see? Right? And I am also displaying some information here. Further, I am making an object of trainer. You see? So trainer data, and I'm printing its information over here. You'll say, Rocky, how is it different? Different is because when I display the details of a trainer or use display function of learner, then I'm printing all details. Why? Because display trainer first is going to call print info. So all data parameters of the parent will get printed. Then the data of specific to trainer will get printed. On the other hand, in the case of simply display function of learners, first we are printing with details of the common part, which is name, age, and gender. And then I'm printing details specific to the learners, right? Now, I wish to now give you a small impromptu class work. Let me see. I'm giving an easy work so that you don't try permutation combinations and go in the confused state. Okay. I wish that you should add one attribute of own into each. I want one common attribute which you wish I wish you should have in information. Okay, obviously you'll print it then. I want in set learner data to have one very specific thing for a learner added up and one very specific thing added up for the trainer also. You get me, friends? You are getting me? I want you to think properly. Add one new attribute in the constructor of the parent class, that means information. Print it here in the print info. Okay. Similarly, think of one third parameter, which I wish you should add. That is one extra parameter in learners, as well as one extra parameter in trainer. Naturally, go without saying that whatever extra you have added, you will, of course, print it in the display, respective display methods. Okay. Fine, friends. Obviously, when you call it also, you will have to pass it extra value. Please go ahead and share me your experience that what did you add in information class, what do you add in learner class, and what do you add in trainer class. Again, different people can think in different ways, but think logically, realistically correct. Okay, go ahead. Now, let me give you a small heads up of what is there after the break. Hold on, there is still time for the break to come. Please listen to me very carefully. I will talk about multiple inheritance. Okay, then talk about little confusing concepts like polymorphism. Idea is not to make you masters or make you do a lot of practice on this. So don't get me wrong. But the idea is just to tell you about polymorphism and terms like method overloading and operator overloading, because if you tell to somebody in the market that I know oops, he's bound to ask you, okay, you know oops now, then what is overloading? What is overriding? And if my student says, no, I'm not heard of overloading and overriding, then it is going to be my insult. You see, I will feel bad. So I want you to at least know it conceptually. May not be in a position of altering the code and coding it yourself. So that is not what my expectation is. Trust me. You see, because so many concepts you learn in about 1-2 hours is not easy to digest. If I was at your position also, I would have been saturated. Then I'll talk about this thing called as abstraction. And to know the concept of abstraction, we will use a package called ABC. You say, okay, this is for, you're just calling it for fun. No, I'm not calling it for fun. ABC is a package in Python. How can I write from ABC for fun? So it is working, you see. So ABC stands for abstract classes. So we are doing this. Okay, so this is the last thing which we'll be doing in this notebook. And by the time we finish with this notebook, trust me, even if I touch that last topic, abstract, it'll be great. If I don't touch it, no problems. This is completely optional for me, but not overloading and overriding. That is not optional for me. Okay, so friends, are you with me? Are you with me in my thinking process of what I want to deliver to you? Right? This is not actually Python fundamentals, what I'm trying to talk about, but I know as a programmer, when you move ahead and you look at some program of machine learning or deep learning, every program you will see is importing from a package some class, making an object, using his methods. That point of time, if my student does not know basics of object-oriented programming, then he will not be able to leverage his understanding to make his own codes. You see, that is a point. Then that point, backtracking and learning this will not be a good thing. You see, once we move ahead, we move ahead. We should not look back. Okay, where the idea is very simple. I have, let's say 2 or more parent classes, and I wish to inherit from all of them. Okay, so let's try to look into it. Very first, I have a class called information, in which I'm holding information of a student or a trainer. You see, so I'm holding the student or a trainer information because name, age, gender are human information. Okay. The next is I have a class called course information. And in the course information, we have some weekend batches and some weekday batches information over here. Sorry. Okay. And you would notice that I've not done really too much of hard work in course information. We have just made a dictionary where in a dictionary, I have a key, colon, I have a value. The value itself is a dictionary. This is called the JSON format. Just for your information, friends, if you wish to kind of research more on it, this is called JSON formatting. And to do JSON formatting here in Python, what we do is that we make a dictionary of dictionary. Okay, dictionary of dictionary. By the way, dictionary in Python is nothing but a set of key value pairs. Okay, so this is something which you should research on your own after the today's session. But you should note this down so that you know that I'm asking you to research on JSON formatting and dictionary of dictionary. So in Python, we achieve this. You see, in Python, we create dictionary of dictionary, which you can see above. You see as above. Okay, right now. So this is my key. This is my value. In the value, also this is the key and this is the value. Okay, maybe 12, 8, 6, and 5 are indicating the number of weeks or number of overall sessions required. Fine. Now, look, this is very interesting. So any learner, any student at Simplilearn would have both the things. He will have his personal information, that is his name, age, and gender. And he will also have, I repeat, and he will also have information about the course in which he is enrolled. Let's be honest. How do you become a student of Simplilearn? You have enrolled in some course, right? Otherwise, you're not a student of Simplilearn, right? So A student of Simplilearn will have his own information and also the information of the course in which he has enrolled. Therefore, please notice, I'm doing the traditional way of programming, so things look simple and nice. I have asked for 4 information: name also, age, gender, name, age, gender, to fill the information into the information, course and preference to feed course info. Okay. I remember one of my friends asking me this. Now it is the right time. I should tell you that, Rocky, how would you call the constructors of my super classes? But notice now I've got 2 super classes, not one. So in Python, whenever I do multiple inheritance, this is the pattern of coding. I can't leave it to super. Understand? Super will not know whom to call. Super means parent, but I've got 2 parents. Whom should I call? Whom I'm calling? A or B? I can have 3 parents, A, B, C. Who I'm calling? So you need to specify the name of the class dot the name of the constructor which you're planning to call. Self is compulsory, friends. There's no question, no doubt about it. Don't even think twice. Self is compulsory. Okay. You'll say, Rocky, in information, you're calling the constructor and passing some data. In course info, also you are calling the constructor, but why are not passing parameters? Friends, please appreciate the fact that in course info, my constructor is not requiring any parameter. So why should I pass anything? Isn't it? It's not requiring no anything. So hence I'm not passing any parameter. Okay. The next comes is self.course is equal to course. Why? Because once you have done with, you see, once you have done with creating an object of the class course info, you see, now you have got 2 parameters which you want to assign, no? One is a course and one is a preference. So course is being assigned to course parameter, preference being assigned to preference parameter. These 2 parameters are being created. These 2 parameters are not parameters of course. No, these 2 parameters are parameters of my learner. That is of you, my friends. This is the parameter of every learner. He is enrolling into one of the courses of these 2, and he is having a preference. Let me show this in running to you so that it becomes very clear. Please give me a minute. Let me see. Have I run the above cells? No, I am not. First cell running, second cell running, learner's cell running. Okay. Display information is very straightforward. I'm calling the class informations print info function. I'm printing all parameters here. Further, I can notice self.info. I am picking up the preference and course parameters, assigning to the variable weeks, and I'm printing weeks. I'll show you how it works. This will go into the name of the person. This is going into age. This is going into gender. Data science with R has been the course which the person has selected, and weekend has been the preference. There are 2 choices, weekday and weekend. That has been the case. And further, what I do is I call a function called display. Display calls this thing where I go on printing. So print info will print these 3 information. When I'm printing course and preference, as you can see, course and preference, I printed these 2. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I am finding the number of weeks. So first I go to self.info, that is this fellow here. Then from here, I'm trying to find what has been your preference. So your preference has been weekend. So I go here. So this whole dictionary is loaded. In this dictionary, I am trying to find the index or the key called data science with R to get this final value, which I come to understand as 5 weeks. So after all this step, I get the number of weeks in this variable, which I'm printing here. I get the number of weeks as 5. You get me, friends? Right? I hope I not confuse anybody. So friends, I request your attention once again on my screens. We're looking into a little difficult topic called polymorphism. By the way, what does polymorphism mean? Poly means, by the way, all of us are polymorphic. At the moment, we are student or learners. After the session finishes at 10 p.m., we are brother, sister, husband, wife, mom, dad to our family, right? You play different roles, right? So all of us play different roles. We are the same person, but this is Rocky only, this is Akash only, this is Racha only. You are the same person, but you're playing different roles when your environment changes. Right now, your environment is a classroom, a virtual classroom. So you're behaving as a student or learner. Once the class finishes, you could be husband, wife, father, mother to someone. So you see, so your role changes. Hence, I say that we all are polymorphic. So polymorphism means one person or one object, but behaving differently in different environments. Now, how do I demonstrate that to you? Have a look. So I've got a class information here, same as above, no difference, which is holding information for anyone, maybe a learner, maybe a trainer. Then I have a learner in which, if you notice carefully, I'm doing repeat work. This is like C++ and Java style of programming. You see, not a very optimum style of programming, but I'm doing it for purpose of simplicity. Please notice, I'm accepting some parameters here. The class learners, and the class learners is accepting name, age, gender. You will say these things were there above. So, but I agree, but learner is having no connection to the information. No, please understand. Learner is not inheriting information. So learners have no idea about information class. So obviously every learner must have age, name and gender, and he may also have experience and qualification. So I use a constructor, accept all data parameters, printing it here, and kind of using them here. So let me run this 3 code cells. By the way, nothing polymorphic has happened up till now. I repeat, nothing polymorphic has happened up till now. So please wait. Now, let me bring a very simple notion of polymorphism. Please notice that the function called print info has the same name in both the cases, you can see. But one who's calling it decides the output of print info. If object one is calling, which I say is the environment of print info, my output is changing. The print info function, I agree the body's definitions are different, but the name is same. If my environment changes here, then my output changes. This is a very raw example of method overloading, because you don't have method overloading concept actually in Python. You see, like unlike Java and C++, this is very common. It is not common here. It's not common to overload methods in Python. So the whole idea here is that I can define in my same project, I can define multiple classes, all having the same function name called print info. Think it this way. I have a class called savings account where I'm printing details of my account, print info. I'm having another class called current account. I'm also printing same function, print info. Name of function across various classes in a single project can be same, but output may not be same. It totally depends who is calling the method. Accordingly, that version is being called. You see, here, you know it, friends, very well, that the version of information is being called, right? So this is the version of information being called. I mean to say information class. Version of information class being called. And what is here? This is the version of the learners class being called. You get me, friends? Right? If you're wondering that Rocky in Java, it was very beautiful to overload. No, that's not as beautiful as here it is. You see, it's not. Prabhu, when you say print info is a part of parent and child, that is overriding. It will not be overloading. Overloading has to be, you see, that is overriding. If I define a print info different version in a child, it overrides that of this thing. So in the case, normally what happens, Prabhu, overloading means what? Overloading technically means this, that this is a class. Okay, let's say I've got a function called A with no parameter. I define another function called A with, let's say, 2 parameters. Okay, this is called overloading in the same class. So if I call A with no parameters, this fellow will be called. If I call A with 2 parameters, then this fellow will be called. But the problem is that, Prabhu, this is not allowed in Python. So if I cannot code 2 methods with the same name, but difference in parameters, then technically I'm not allowed to do method overloading. So the definition has got little twisted in Python or for Python programmers. So here we have a diluted version of overloading, and this diluted version of overloading means that in a single project, let's say I've got 5 classes, and all those 5 classes have the same method name. Then no need to worry. One of them will be called depending upon its environment. And to be very honest, the environment here is nothing other than the object name which is being used to call it. Okay, because the object name gets trapped in the variable called self, which decides its environment. And thereby it prints all the details according to the environment. Hence, this is a diluted version. So if you look at a Java perspective or C++ perspective, this is a diluted version of overloading. But for Python programmers, this is not diluted. This is okay version. This is the fine version of overloading. Yeah, but honestly speaking, because most of us have come from backgrounds of C++ and Java, yes, this is very much a diluted version of it. You're correct, bro. I'm with you on that. Okay. Yeah. So friends, I now request you to look at what is operator overloading. And this is very simple. This is like childish, because I can use the plus operator not only for adding numbers. So it depends what is around the plus. If the left and the right operand of the plus symbol is numbers, then it is going to add. But if the left and the right operand of the plus symbol is supposedly strings, and is not going to add, it is going to concat. So the idea is that the same operator can do work differently depending upon its environment. And the environment of an operator is nothing but its left and the right operands. You see, it's called polymorphism. That's called operator overloading. Right now, friends, I'm giving you maybe 3 to 4 minutes where if you wish to add something the way I have added things here, so it will be great if you can do that. And then we proceed further to the concept of overriding. Nagdeep, I'll come to your question. You're asking in Python, can we give a custom meaning to an operator like we do in C++? I'm sorry, we cannot do that. Yep, we cannot do that. Yep, explicit operator overloading is not allowed because we have something called as magic operators, Nagdeep, here, but we don't have kind of time to get into that factor. But then there's something called as magic operators. Do Google on that and get that information. You see, so that will give you an idea of what magic operators are. But yes, you can create your own operator overloading through class programming. It is not as easy as it is in C++. It is a little tricky here in Python, but if you want to have your own special operators, which will have its own meaning, yes, absolutely possible. We can. Yeah, that's called magic operator operators. One is there, and then it's called user-defined operator overloading. Yeah, but you need to make a class and then write very detailed class-based programming for that. Yeah. Okay. The next, friends, is the point that gone through all this stuff. Hold on. Overriding. Okay. So, friends, now after finishing an operator overloading, I'm coming to the word overriding. Read this carefully, please. It's overriding, not overloading. Overriding means that you are redefining something. Think it this way. For all beginners, please consider the word overriding as redefining. Okay. So in my class information, you see this piece of code, which is standard. We have been doing this code for long now. Now imagine this. Suppose you say, Rocky, my class learners is definitely inheriting information due to which I will be able to access name, age, and gender. I'll say naturally yes. But what I'm doing is, in my class learners, I'm making an explicit constructor, okay, name, age, and gender, which I'm accepting from the outside world, that I'm accepting to pass it to my parent, as you can see over here. You see, as you can see over here. And the other two parameters I'm accepting from the outside world for myself. Okay. Now, a very humble, simple question I'd like to ask you. Friends, the print info function of the parent class, that is information, is only capable of printing three things, isn't it? It's only capable of printing three things, namely age, name, and gender. But I want the print info now in learners, not only to print name, age, and gender, but also to print experience and qualification. So what will I do? Simple. You redefine. I'm redefining print info. Do not forget, because of inheritance, you already have got one print info from the parent. Don't forget that, please. But you don't want to use it. Hence you're overriding. Notice my comment here. Print info function, this print info function of derived class being child class is overriding, means you're redefining the print info function of parent class. Now remember the trick here. Huh? Even if you tell me that, Rocky, I would like to print name, age, and gender, I'll say, I'm sorry, I can't print it. I can only print qualification and experience. Let me just show you. I made an object of learners, okay, and I'm calling print info. You see what it prints. You'll say, oh my God, it's printing only qualification and experience. It's not printing the other parameters. It cannot, because you have overridden it. You see, you have overridden it. Now I'm giving you an impromptu question. I'm giving you an impromptu question. I'm not asking you for to code an answer, just logical. If I want to call this print info from this child print info, question is, can I or I cannot? Question is, can I or I cannot? Answer is yes, I can. Absolutely, Prabhu. Very good. Very good, everyone. If you wish, you can definitely do that. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Syntax is not a problem. There is a whole world of Gen AI tools to give you the syntax. That's not a problem. Question is that logically, can I? Answer is yes, we can. Okay. Okay. Now, please have a careful look. That is exactly what I did. Therefore, I asked you this question. Exactly what I did in the next piece of code. Again, I redefined class learners, inheriting for information. Same constructor, no difference. Print info once again is overriding. But now I realized my mistake now. I told Hari, what is the use of printing only qualification and experience? Where are the name of the student? So I need to call print info of my parent, but that is all anyway overridden. It is like recoded. So how do I call? I can call no. I can give the name of the class. So I give the name of the class information, and then I am calling print info ahead of it. Simple, sorted. By doing so, now if you notice very carefully, you would get the information of both. So I really appreciate Akash and Prabhu. What you answered is absolutely correct. Instead of super, just one correction. No super over here needed. Just name the class and call the function. So simple. Okay. Right. So friends, I am giving you about maybe 3 minutes. Can you please execute all these code blocks? I'm holding on. Great. So friends, I hope you have also taken down, this comments. I hope you have read this very carefully. Okay, right. So we move on further into the next thing called abstraction. First, look at the coding syntax, and then I will tell you what exactly are we trying to indicate. So from abstract abstract C class, from abstract class, from ABC, I import abstract method and ABC. So we are importing this. By the way, ABC is actually a super class by rule, whenever you make an abstract class in which you just declare methods, you don't define them. I repeat, when you make an abstract class, you are only declaring methods, you don't define them. The one who is inheriting, you see, one who is inheriting the class, that is the abstract class, will take responsibility by compulsion to code the methods. So the idea is that I think in real time, you have beverages in the menu, but there could be many beverages. You probably could have, tea, coffee, mango shake, orange juice, whatever. All these are beverages. So, or whatever category they are in the menu. So all these things in the category of beverages will have to specify their ingredients and will have to specify their taste. So in simple words, I am having methods which I'm forcing my children classes to code. Now, how do you force? I don't want to override, I say. I want to force them to code. So the simplest way is you make a class which is abstract in nature. And the easiest way of doing it is you write a class, say it is extending ABC. Okay, and from the package ABC, I've imported two things. I've imported the super class ABC, which means abstract class, and I've imported indicator. This is called actually as a modifier or an indicator or a qualifier or a decorator. So many words Python programmers use. This is, okay, a more common word is decorator. So this is a decorator where I'm writing a decorator over the function called ingredients, and this is an abstract method. You see? So, okay, is it necessary to write? Well, it's a good practice to write. If you don't write, nothing is going to happen. You see, but then it is a good practice to write this. You get me? Right? So, because anyway, both of these are abstract methods by default because this class is extending ABC. So by default, it has to have abstract method. Now you'll say, Rocky, if I declare a method, if I make a class which is abstract, how? Okay, fine. It has got all abstract methods, is fine. But then what else? What else? You cannot make a direct object. You see, you cannot make a direct object of an abstract class. You will get an error. Cannot instantiate abstract class beverage with abstract method ingredients. In fact, you can mark the other method as abstract too. Try doing it. Making this, running this. Your error still remains the same, but you will get both of them now, ingredients and taste both. Now, other things are going to work. You see it, no? Why should I say anything? You see it for yourself. You see? So, mango shake is extending beverage. So, mango shake has to take responsibility to code two functions now. This is one, this is two. Same applies for any other beverage, orange juice, tea, coffee, whatever. Now, can I make objects of mango shake and ingredients? Yes, of course, of course. You can make object of mango shake, you can make object of orange juice. Welcome. All child, you can make objects. Okay, Nagdeep, ABC is not a dummy word. ABC means abstract class. Okay, ABC in Python means abstract class. This is a keyword I'm importing. I'm importing this class and I'm importing this decorator from the package ABC. You get me? It's not dummy ABC or XYZ. Okay, right. Everyone will please try out this code from here up till the end. Please try out this code and please make sure you write down abstract methods for both.
And with that, we have come to the end of this course. If you have any doubts or questions, ask them in the comment section below. Our team of experts will reply to you as soon as possible. Thank you and keep learning with Simplilearn.